Wells only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Where the haters at? Y'all bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got Hex, flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. It's lullaby music, really, right? It's hard to believe that something like this exists. I get it, but you just gotta come to terms with reality. It just exists. Nothing we can do about it. Buy a steak and chill, baby. Shout out to Marketable Thoughts.
Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Like yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. Man, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all deep. Everybody. My God. Ex-Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets me. Yo, when is it told you? Dollar Cost told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy.
Yo, what's up, everybody? I guess I fouled up. I didn't know Hexo was streaming, bro.
Oh,
yeah.
Hexo streaming?
Yes. So ain't nobody gonna be watching this at all.
But we never check anymore. There's so many people.
Yeah. But Hexo is gonna move the market. Hexo's gonna move the market. Yeah, I didn't see it either.
Yeah.
I didn't see it either.
Are you in that Hex streamers thing on Telegram?
Yeah. Oh no, not on Telegram, on Twitter.
Oh, Twitter,
yeah. But it's all good. He doesn't usually stream long anyway, so we'll just keep going, I guess. Let me see. When did he start streaming? 3:01. Shit, it's just 3:30, bro. Not looking good for the home team if he's not done anytime soon. Yeah, we might have to shelf this one. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we could keep going a little bit.
We can go. We can go over a little bit, just talk. I mean, people can always watch it later. It's no big deal.
Yeah. It's not bad. Yeah. We don't like you anyway, Hexo. It don't matter.
Right. I'm gonna shit on Hexo later because I work with him.
You gotta be careful.
I'm gonna hit him up in our little business Telegram chat room. Be like, hey man, it's time for me to harass you this week. I need you to do this, that. He's gonna be like, what the fuck, man?
Dude, so what's up with all these people, man? What are they speaking in here? Is this like they got some crazy language going on? What is that? Like Netherlands? Erwin was there earlier.
Erwin's out in the Netherlands, so they speaking a language I can't speak, bro.
Yeah.
So shout out to them. Thank you guys for tuning in. They are the true Wells only maxis right here.
Yeah, man. Erwin's a pretty well-spoken, logical dude. I was talking to him earlier.
Yeah, he's solid. We got some good guys in this community, man. Guys and girls. And that's what's interesting, right? Most of the time, what ends up happening is you just have this core unit of individuals. And I feel like the community we have is so good that we'll never have a core unit. It'll always be like a clusterfuck of good people. And I love it.
You're right about that, man.
Yeah,
we all share followers,
mm-hmm.
and everybody supports everybody really, really, really well. Yes, I love that.
Yes, sir.
That is what makes us so strong, though.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, that's what this is all about. You know, how are we going to build if we don't build each other up first?
Yeah, and especially IQ wise, right?
100%. I mean, that's
gotta get our IQs
mission.
up.
Yeah, that's my whole mission. Because what are we doing if we don't understand the game we're playing anyway?
We're walking aimlessly through life if we don't understand the game that we're playing. That's step one, right?
Yeah, and you know what's funny? you say that, it made me think of my entire life.
Yeah.
When you said walking aimlessly, I literally thought about my entire life. Now that's something, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's quite something to hear a term and think of something specific and then have it be your whatever.
Was it
It's
cool?
like
Wasn't that cool how your brain flashed that
word
understanding?
association. Yeah, that word
Yeah.
association. So the word I associate aimlessly with my life. How
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
That should say something to everybody that watches this or is watching this right now.
Yeah, knowledge is power, and there's a reason that has been said over and over in history. Because just like you and I were talking about earlier, Wales, when you have the knowledge, then you can start making decisions correctly. And if you're just imitating, if you're just listening to somebody and just repeating what they're saying, that's fine and dandy, but you're not going to be able to use that information to your advantage in the future because you don't get it. You don't really understand.
Not even close.
Yeah. And I think that we really suffer. We suffer with that as a society. We don't look for understanding. We just look for talking points
Yes. I remember.
constantly.
I remember when I was the guy, excuse me, that thought, oh, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. It was just a habit of me saying, I know. So what would happen? Well, the information that was being relayed to me would automatically cease at that point in time because guess what? Oh, he thinks he knows. Don't waste your
Yeah.
time telling him anything. Because a person that is educated and is trying to educate others already knows a person that is willing to be educated and a person that is not willing to be educated. I know I
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
So when I think about myself now versus myself then, because I had a lot of people, in my lifetime when I was a young knucklehead in the military specifically. Well, not really a lot, but enough to make me remember that there was this one person, Sergeant Burke. Shout out to him if you ever hear this, man. I remember you, bro. I think about that dude like daily
Mhm.
because he had no reason to try to pull my head out of my ass, but that's what
Uh-huh.
he constantly did. He literally always tried to save me from myself. And I remember he was 35, 32 then because we was out, out there in the shit together. So, he in a way helped me become a man, even though I didn't realize he was doing that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things he was telling me at the time that I was ignoring, guess what? They're still in my head today.
Yeah. You know what? I can think of I could think of a guy named Jose Fuentes that I served with, and he was one of my senior enlisted guys, and he was put in charge of me. And I remember all the times that I was just so insecure, like,
Mm,
and I was just so mad and so angry, and I
yep,
clapped back and all this.
that's right.
He
Same,
was
same
just
here,
he was
bro.
calm but firm, and he would explain to me, but he wouldn't take shit from me. And I realized that was real man stuff there. He
Yeah,
never responded emotionally to my shenanigans.
right.
And I'm the same way, dude. I think about him all the time. It's like a real it was like a father figure at the time, man. I was
Yeah.
being raised by a
I had
man,
I had
and I
another
appreciated that.
NCO at my second duty station that was kind of like that. He wasn't like firm but fair because he was goofy in a way. He
Yeah,
was like a funny dude, but yo, he was a smart mother. Like I learned a lot from this guy. Like
yeah,
even his name is goofy. Like he's just a goofy dude. But yo, when he starts talking and he starts talking the facts, like you better, even though he was like a mother, like he knew he was gonna do his 20, he didn't care, and he knew he was stuck and whatever, because I was getting out. So I had my chip on my shoulder about
yeah.
getting out because I knew I wasn't staying in. I wasn't gonna continue to be a slave. Da 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 da. You know how it could have been.
Right,
Imagine being a young person understanding enough to know I had to get out no matter what. Because as we
right.
talked about before, there's a lot of guys that would talk that talk but would stay in, not never actually exiting the military because they would be too scared of taking the risk.
Yeah, I you've probably done this before too. You had somebody that you were talking to, and I didn't notice this for the longest time. But you're talking to somebody and you're starting to spit some truth, and then all of a sudden you look at the person you're talking to and they got that, like, they're looking at you and they're hearing your words and it's sinking in, and all of a sudden they get that really weird stare. It's like you can tell when what you're saying is hitting them hard.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Sure
And
do.
and I can only imagine that some of the things that he was saying, and maybe some of the things that goofy guy was saying when he really started spitting truth, you probably looked the same way. Like it was penetrating you, and you were like, "Okay, I got it.
Looking right
I'm
through him.
getting it."
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like I was looking right through him, right? Because you don't want to hear what you don't want to hear.
No.
And that's the hard thing about growing up, right? Because we want to do what we want to do, and everybody else be damned.
Yeah.
To hell with the rest of the world, to hell with what's right, with what I think I know. And the hardest thing for me growing up was that I had no reference point. I honestly had no, because all right, single mother, blah blah blah,
Right.
right? But a single mother that's working 45, 55, 65 hour work
Ooh.
weeks, what can she do? She can only
No,
do
she
but
can't
so
raise
much.
you. Yeah, she can't
Yeah.
raise you.
And the world is still there. And guess what? I still had to go to school. She still had to go to work. So I had to learn how to live, even though she was doing her best to educate me.
Right.
But I'm only seeing her 10, 20% out of the time of my whole day. Or maybe let's exaggerate. Let's say out of a whole year, I'm spending maybe 30 to 40% of my entire day with my family.
Mhm.
That's not a lot of time. That's just 1/3 maybe of your day. And that means the rest of your habits, the rest of the way you think, the rest of everything is coming from the outside world if your parents did not do everything correctly within the first 6 to 7 years of your existence. That's a harsh reality, bro. A lot of people don't even get that.
It
I had
is.
to have this conversation with my mother literally like 2 weeks ago. Like, look, you did what you could, but I had to learn how to survive on the streets. What was school teaching anybody? Nothing, and she knows it.
How does she take to that when you kinda talk to her about it? Because those are hard conversations as
They're very
adults.
difficult to have, and it
Yeah.
sucks because it's just true.
Mhm.
And my mother, I've had to wake her up because guess what? I was out there eating dust and bullets for fun.
Mhm.
There was no reason for anybody to be in Iraq ever, Afghanistan ever. And
How does she feel about you going?
oh well, she knew she had no choice.
Yeah.
I was gonna do whatever. I was gonna join the military. Period. She
You
knew
had
she
to,
couldn't
yeah.
stop me. So, and how does she know? Because my little slick ass told her, "You better sign it, or I'm just gonna sign it when I'm 18, so it don't matter."
Well,
And that's the ignorance of youth, right?
yeah. So what types of positive things did you take from that whole chunk of your life? What did you bring with you to where you are now?
Learn to listen,
Yeah.
learn to say less, but speak up when you know you're right.
Yeah.
When you know, don't be shy
Yeah.
because guess what? Nobody else actually knows anything.
There's a lot of people in that room that won't speak up either.
Yeah, that's right. That do know.
And but they'll nod their head, and even the guys that they'll nod their head like they know, but they're lying.
Right, right. But that's the thing. You got all types. You
Yeah.
got those that nod their head, either know or don't know. Then you got those that know, don't even register that they're in existence, right? Like they just, oh, I don't know anything. Any doctors, the guy's like, nope, not me. Then you got the guy that doesn't know diddly squat and is always
Yeah.
running his mouth. A lot of
Yeah.
those, especially on YouTube.
Yeah.
So you gotta be careful what you get. And this is why I tell people, even though I'm showing you definitions, how I'm doing the math, this, that, and the third, you better go and confirm that you understand what I just showed you
Yeah.
because it's me showing it to you. I could be wrong. I could make an error. There could be something you find that you understand that I do not. A whole plethora of things, right, could become a reality based on you taking that action.
Yeah.
Because what did I not do? I did not take anybody's word at face value because I learned from the military that I cannot. because up until that point in time, I was taking the world's everything at its face value. This is why I was on a quick route to jail
Yeah.
until I figured out, whoa, let me slow this shit down, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how it works. It doesn't work any other way. You come to these realizations, and the funny thing is that even though you come to them, you're not still all the way there. It's a process,
Right.
because Wales didn't find success when he was a teenager. He almost found, Rikers when he was a teenager.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then he had to finish high school in a completely other state just to be able to get through that part of his life. I mean, imagine, you had to, like, I was the reason my family got uprooted and moved to a whole nother piece of the country. Like, it wasn't easy. And it was just because I was a freaking knucklehead.
Yeah.
So I had to eat that, early on, and it made me change for a certain way, a certain instance. But even that's not a lot, right? Because you still have to learn so much more about life, because there's so much you haven't experienced, and that is kind of like why you got to go through all these trials and tribulations. Because if you're not raised to learn to listen, that's the only way you're going to learn.
That is, it's got to be a trial by fire at that point. If you're the first 10 years of your life are so important, man.
Yep.
And if you don't get it there, you're not going to get it unless you go through stuff. It's so true.
Unfortunately. And,
Well,
people don't like to appreciate that, but those are the kinds of things that permeate my mind, right? Because all I have is experience and messing up. I got a PhD in that. So this is why I know the things that I know. It's not because somebody gave them to me. There's no book with this information. If there
Isn't that
was,
funny how that is? Isn't that funny how that misfortune, or you probably shouldn't even call it misfortune. It was the decisions that you made
it's life
resulted in
lessons.
yeah. It's like, man, those really, at the time, it's just like, man, my world has crumbled around me. But then later on, like, such powerful tools to reflect on,
Yeah.
and then also to help other people, because you're not speaking from a place of BS. You've actually been through it, and you've gone through the process, and you know what could be if you use it. If you use that negative experience in a positive way, you know
Well,
what could be.
well, I'll make a caveat to that. I'll say any experience,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because this is why I get on these streams and I tell people, hey, you got to share your point of view with the world, because your point of view is valid.
Right.
It's not just Wales's point of view. It's not just Rags's point of view. Everybody's point of view is valid. And I think people do not appreciate that sentiment enough, because guess what? Everybody doesn't like Wales. Everybody doesn't like Rags.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
It don't get any more simple than that.
Yeah, and if you're worried about what people think about you, then you'll never say a word ever.
Yeah.
So you can't be worried about that,
And
because
yeah,
you came from a different. It's not the same path, man.
hmm you got to just speak your piece, speak your 2 cents, and be comfortable being yourself. And I think that actually is probably the hardest thing for most people.
Well, it
And
was hard. It was really hard for me, man, because I was always taught to keep my mouth shut and fit in and fall in line.
I'm
You
so
know,
sorry. I'm sorry, brother. Yeah,
yeah,
that's tough. That's
and that
tough.
was tough. That was, and there's still inklings of that in my brain. These
100%.
reflections, if you want to say it, from the
Yeah,
past.
yeah. It's tough,
But
bro, because that's programming, right?
it is programming, and I think it. I'm not sure. It might be a cultural type thing, cultural programming from, like, just like the white folks and stuff where I grew up and where they came from in the South and things.
Right, right.
Like,
Well,
be
yeah.
seen, not heard,
Trying
that
to keep
type
it
of
simple
thing.
type of thing.
Yeah,
Not a lot of friction. Be seen, not heard.
exactly. And
All that.
I grew up in that, and that serves you. That will serve you a certain type of way if everybody's playing the same game.
Correct.
But the second, when you get out into the real world and people aren't playing the same rules, you
It's
get
just
chewed
you.
up and spit out.
It's just you.
and you emotionally, you become destroyed because you're just curious. You're like, why isn't everybody else playing this game too? Why are they being so vocal? Why are they being so loud? Why are they being so confrontational? And it's like, hey, that's the real world, man. The shit I grew up in, that was their real world, not mine. Not mine now.
Right. And this is why I try to tell people, you cannot shield humans, i.e., kids,
Hmm.
from reality. You gotta let
Can't.
them see it. You gotta let them
Yeah.
see it. You gotta let them hear it. You gotta let them experience it, even if it might be negative to a certain extent. Because guess what? They're gonna find out regardless.
Yeah.
They're gonna find out regardless. You can't save anybody from what's out there.
Yeah. I was making this point on a stream I did a couple mornings ago. And I was talking about how in today's society, it seems like society wants you to be a child for as long as humanly possible.
Yes.
They You have these adults who actually they're parents and they have children, and these adults friggin' dress up as Teletubbies and they go LARPing on the weekends with their kids, and they put, all sorts of crazy makeup on and this and that, and they let their kids stay up till 1 a.m. and they let them do whatever they want and get into whatever they want, and there's no responsibility, there's no discipline, and they encourage these children to act like children. And the byproduct of that is you have these 40, even older, 40-year-old plus people who live with their parents for their entire lives, playing this weird childish game with their kids.
And hold on, because it's not like they're saving to move out. Let's be specific.
No, I forgot the word for it, but it's a mutual thing. It's like the parents, you're emotionally attached to your child, and you love your child, and your child turns into your best friend, and you want, and these parents, they want their child to be around all the time, so they actually make it difficult for the child to leave the nest because they're needy for the child emotionally, and they don't understand that the point of being a parent is to take a child and raise that child to become a functioning autonomous member of society as soon as possible. And then at the same time, the kid, the kid's being enabled by the parent. Everything's purchased for them. Their cell phone's paid for. They got a roof over their head, education, whatever. If they try to go out on their own and they fail, they bring them right back. And it's just, it's really, it's not healthy. We're not raising kids to be adults these
You're not
days. And I
gonna learn how
see
to
it
fly
over and
that way.
over.
Well, you're
But
not gonna learn how to fly that way, right?
nah, what a disservice. What a disservice to your child. What a smack in the face. And if you really love them, you're going to teach them to stand up upright in this world. And we just don't get that, man.
Yeah, it's interesting you state all those things you mentioned. You're the person that I would run into as a 18, 19, 20-year-old in the military that I would take an advantage of
Yep.
because you didn't know any better.
Yep. And that was me. Like
That's
the
right.
way that I would have responded was violently, and you'd be laughing your ass off the whole time because you got to me. And
Right.
I was very insecure because I didn't understand what was going on. And
It was
people
just
would,
it's
yeah,
chaos for you.
yeah, it is. It's chaos. You're right.
For you, it's chaos because you're like, well, what the hell? I did what I always do,
Right.
and it blew up in my face.
Yep.
How?
Yep.
Different rules, different game.
Exactly.
And that's the whole thing. Like you gotta, and this is why I say that all the time. You have to know the game that you are playing. The rules are not always the same for every game, even if it's always a game played by humans.
Correct.
Like when I got to the military, I had to learn how to play a different game.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to corporate America, I had to learn how to play a different game. When I got to streaming, I had to learn how to play a different game. So on and so forth. We always must keep learning because all these different ecosystems require different skill sets from you. Like they just require you to do different things.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to wear a suit and look a certain way, but my information better be top notch, and my logic better be top notch, et cetera, et cetera. Right?
Yeah.
Different requirements. I don't have to be known. I don't have to be anybody. My information just better be legit.
Mm-hmm.
That's good enough. But if it's not, then I'm just like the rest. And maybe I am a million sub, YouTuber, but that's not my interest.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually perfect, because if it's not your interest, it shows where your priorities lie and where your true intentions are.
Right.
And your true intentions are to come on here and speak your truth. If somebody likes it, cool. If somebody doesn't, get the hell out. It doesn't matter to you.
Pretty much.
So I like that. And that's when I first started streaming not long ago, that was the same thing. I'm like, why am I really doing this?
Yep. You
And
have
I
to
can
sit there and really think about it.
you do. You got to be honest with yourself, and that's probably the hardest thing to do when you're moving from an adolescent to adulthood.
Yeah.
Is to recognize that you've been lying to yourself for so long just to avoid sticky situations. And that's difficult.
Mm-hmm. That in rags, you said it, you nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's nothing fun.
So when I made the decision to start streaming, it was like I saw this as an opportunity to be able to do what I was doing at that point in real life every day anyway, and just spread truth out, man. Because I think it was Richard or somebody, he was talking about there's pockets of evil all over the world. And you can run into one of those pockets. And those pockets can be something as simple as just a little white lie here or there. We got to understand that there's so many of these pockets everywhere because there's so many mistruths and manipulations, that the only way to combat that is to spread your truth and uncover all that stuff, disinfect all that stuff. So yeah. Hey, quick question, Wales. Did you unlist this on purpose because of
I forgot.
Yeah, I
That's
wanted to
why.
make sure that YouTube didn't do it to us.
That's why. Oh,
Okay.
snap. I forgot about that. Let me see if I can get into the StreamYard another way and list it.
Yeah, some of the guys here were like, I didn't get
Yeah, I'm seeing
notification.
that. I forgot, bro. Oof, no wonder. Sheesh. I gotta change it in the future. I can't even change it now. Oh
No,
well.
no worries. You're good. You're good.
Yeah. My bad, guys. That's my fault. Not a pro streamer, as we just alluded to moments ago. Case in point, right? Damn. So I just basically dropped the ball for everybody.
You might be able to, if you go to the main YouTube page,
Yeah,
is
let me
there a
see. I do
place
have my sub thing open. My
if you go to edit maybe, and then I think you
let's
might be
see.
able to list it.
Let me see if yeah, I'm in here now. I'm trying to refresh it, see if it pulls up. Yes. Publish. Okay, looks like it
I'll
took.
check and see.
Yeah,
Okay.
it should have took it. It should have took off. All right, good enough.
See, you can just say you did that for Hexo.
Looking out for you, XO, even though I
Yeah,
didn't know I was looking out for you.
Talking all that trash.
That's funny. Damn. Well,
Oh, man.
there you go. My bad, guys.
All right.
Whoa.
Let's
So,
see here.
a case in point, once again, right? We must always be ready to learn
Yeah.
because we don't know what errors we're gonna make. And look, I've been streaming for a year and I'm still making them. Case in point.
Dude, I thought you were perfect, Wales. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, apparently I'm not. Apparently I'm not. I was hoping so, but just didn't work out that way, man. Did not work out.
All right, now we got people talking.
Yeah, look, everybody's showing up now.
Dang, it's popping off now, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start all over.
I know, man. We were getting deep though, bro.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Okay, so for everybody that's just showing up, it's my fault. I am very sorry. I'm a crappy streamer. I don't know how to run YouTube, and I played myself thinking I did. So there we go.
Well,
It's not infallible, right?
I guess not, man. Just all human. All human here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, bro. All right. I'm gonna read something since we just got some people showing up here. All right. You guys might have heard something in the past about the Ministry of Truth. Have you ever heard about the Ministry of Truth, Wales, by chance?
Yes, I have, sir.
All right. So There's a book that was written by George Orwell. It's called 1984. Okay. And George Orwell talks about the Ministry of Truth. The Ministry of Truth concerned itself with news, entertainment, education, and the fine arts. All right. So what did the Ministry of Truth do? It served to reconstruct the narratives in all of those industries to form its own governmental narrative, its own centralized narrative. So it was a department within the government of Oceania at the time, that served to find out what was good information, what was bad information, and to rewrite things and to make things disappear that they did not agree with. So I'm telling you that, and I'm setting the stage to talk about this. And we were talking about this earlier. This just came out, I think, yesterday, and this was in response to Elon Musk purchasing Twitter, and the media at large made it very, very clear. They really pushed this hard. The Department of Homeland Security is standing up a disinformation governance board led by information warfare expert. What do you think about that? What do you think that means, Wales?
Hold on, man. A little noise back here.
Here's what that means. A newer trend. So I'll kind of back up here to make sure.
Sorry, the noise just left.
Oh, no,
now.
No. You're
Sorry,
fine.
man.
You're fine. Disinformation and misinformation propagated and disseminated by both domestic and foreign actors were listed as the first key factors influencing the heightened threat environment, with grievances stoked by unsubstantiated widespread election fraud, conspiracy theories, and COVID-19 misinformation / disinformation.
Everything.
Oh, yeah. So the Department of Homeland Security is going to be able to pick winners and losers. How do you think that's going to turn out, Wales?
I think we've already gotten a sample of that, but who knows? It might turn out, it might be different this time, as they love to say.
I might be. I find it interesting that they use the term foreign and domestic, right?
So they gotta make it sound good.
They got to, but here's the thing. Here's the scary part. Who's going to get to pick and choose who are information terrorists and who aren't information terrorists?
Well, you know how that goes. It's not going to be those that are not in control. That's for sure.
That's the frightening aspect of this. And I find it very interesting too when we talk about this pandemic. They talk about all the misinformation and disinformation that's being spread, which miraculously is actually turning out to be quite true now that, quote unquote, the meat is gone.
I think everything that was called fraudulent at the beginning is being proved to be true. All of it. Medicine.
Literally
every single thing.
Yeah.
Not one thing was a lie.
Where's the apologies, Wales?
Still waiting.
Mm-hmm. Now, and where's the apologies to the people who passed away as a result of this gatekeeping of information? There's no apologies for them either. And that's the sad part. There's no accountability with all of this. And there never is. They don't have to answer to anybody. So this DHS, this disinformation governance board, amongst many, many other things, chat, that should scare the hell out of you if you're in the States. And probably there's some semblance of this that already exists in many parts of Europe already.
100%.
So, Alan Fizz Ame, he says, damn, I missed the beginning. Hexo had me distracted.
You stupid. I actually didn't even know Hexo was streaming. If I would have known, I wouldn't even started. So
Yeah.
that's my fault. I just wasn't paying attention to what was going on in the system.
Dang, do you really do take accountability for your screw ups, Wales? That's
Well,
awesome.
I mean, I'm not trying to, I'm number one, I'm not trying to stream over anybody else. And number
Yeah,
two, I'm not trying to have people miss anything that they might want to see, in real time. That's all. I try to take accountability. I try.
Well, dude. Well, we're getting kind of deep here because Romanian Dan says, "Are you guys trying to take over the stream game? This duo is sick. I need Wales and Cream back together, and you sprinkle a little ginger in there,
Ginger in there,
bro.
That's funny as hell.
I might have to nuke my YouTube account because people are liking this too much, bro. I don't like this at all. I don't feel comfortable.
We have a special guest. Let's see.
Uh-oh.
Dun, dun.
Oh, Fox. What's up, man?
Oh, wait. Why ain't coming through? There we go. A little lag on that. What's up, brother?
Hey, motherfuckers, it's chopped liver.
You stupid, bro. How you doing, man?
Oh, what the hell? I got this goddamn. Sorry, I had the stream on.
No worries, man. I figured. That always happens to the best of us at the beginning.
Some fuck up, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's all good.
Yo, guys, we fucking killed it the other night, man. I got a lot of compliments about that show.
Nice.
We were laughing our ass off, but dropping science as well.
It's usually a good one when we do, because that's usually what we do,
You're getting the waka wakas when Thothchild's in the house.
That's right.
That is right.
Did you see the thing that Finbear made?
What did he make?
He did a little sample where I'm acting like I'm either like spiritual and heavy.
Yeah, I saw it.
And I was going, and Wales is like, you can hear Wales frowning. I don't know how you do that. But you can hear him frowning, and he's like, we need to act like adults, so we're taking it seriously.
Yo, but what's funny is that when I said that, I didn't realize you had just finished doing that. Like, I was just in the moment. So it's the funniest thing because I wasn't even responding to you. It shit fucking fit perfectly. I promise I wasn't even responding to thoughts, man.
You know what? I need it sometimes, so it's all right.
No, because I had to have been in flow. I had to have been talking already. Because I was just ranting that night.
So you guys know, like, my face, did you see on the end of the last stream, Brandon, we talked about this a little bit in messages. You'll see my face is like this for like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck am I like? I don't remember doing that. The generator went out and just done, sun production. And you guys didn't even miss a fucking beat. You guys didn't say, oh, we lost all time. You guys are just rolling. Yeah, well, that's the end of the show. Thanks, everybody.
Dude, we're professionals, man. The world ends. You got to keep the song going, brother.
No, that's right. That's right.
And I knew, because I think you had streamed with SJ earlier in the day.
Yeah.
SJ.
And I knew she said you were having electricity issues, so I kind of had a suspicion that might happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did cut out last minute. Sure did.
I've been through 3 generators, guys.
Wow. What kind of generators are you buying, bro? I got a Honda.
Hamster wheels? What the fuck?
Dude, somebody's using like candy bar wrappers for fuel lines or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because if your fuel starts getting dirty, it messes up your engine, et cetera, right? So you gotta be careful with all that. You gotta have some solid fuel lines or whatever. I mean, get you some. What kind of generator is it, bro? I'm sorry. I don't want to turn this into a mechanic show, but
yeah, let's go.
I was just trying to. I used to be a generator mechanic, so I don't understand how you losing generators left and right. This is really easy.
You know what? They're the ones, if they have names like Eager Beaver or
so these are like these little rinky dink Home Depot generators. Yeah, that's it.
They're the ones my friends fucking end up loaning me, and I'm sitting there looking at the neighbor with the Honda, the 10,000.
Right. Somebody's laughing at it. It's like a Honda.
And it goes like this. It goes.
Yeah, be quiet.
Mine's like.
You gotta put a whole little sandbag fucking housing around the damn
Oh,
generator.
I did that. I
Yep.
did that. You
The
laugh.
only
I
way.
did that.
But it's the only way to suppress the sound, bro. It's smart. What else you supposed to do?
Didn't do shit.
Build a shed for it? Like that's not sensible. Fuck all that. It's all this dirt out here. Let's put some sandbags around this bad boy.
Yeah, it's. I'll tell you what, though, guys. Where you guys are at. You're in the Midwest, right? Rags to riches.
No, I'm East Coast, brother.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Right. Wait, we talked.
Yeah, I'm
Same.
Virginia.
Ah, that's right.
Word. That's right. I saw you wearing your burgundies, your Virginia Tech burgundies.
Damn, Skippy, man, come on now. I was out there in the height of COVID, 60,000 unmasked people in Lane Stadium, bro. It was great.
In the thick of shit.
In
Again.
the thick. Nobody died.
Imagine that.
My Australian friends are pretty jealous of that picture, by the way.
They should.
Yo, I heard you guys dropping the science about the reality of what we just went through, and it is disgusting, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, like, let's just reduce that all the way. People lost their lives. It's not just people lost businesses and
They lost
were
everything.
inconvenienced. We have old people who were rounded up like goddamn cattle. And I think these people need to be held to account, my man.
Well, they will.
Well, let's just take now we got to be careful. The problem here is Twitter just became free, but YouTube's not free yet, so we got to be careful.
Oh boy,
the word that the medication that starts with an IVER, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you notice today, many states today made it legal to prescribe that for COVID. Now, does that go completely against everything that has been said this entire time? Absolutely, it does. Did I break up, by the way?
No, not at
Okay.
all.
I dropped out. I'm learning the hard way with these mobiles. Wales warned me last year. He's like, StreamYard is never going to work good with the mobile.
Yeah,
The
it
way
sucks
it
with
does
mobile.
in the studio. I actually wrote, the reason that I disappeared, Brandon, is because I actually wrote you something that I wanted to read, but it's unfortunately in an app that seems to automatically close fucking StreamYard.
Oh yeah, I hate that.
I wonder if I copy and paste it, put it in the chat, I could probably read from that because it's just our private chat, right?
You should be able to. Yeah, do what you gotta do, man.
Well, I gotta fix it up because in all the margins it says shit like "fuck you, Brandon, you ginger cocksucker, motherfucker." You know, I gotta clean it up.
I'd expect nothing less from you, Thoth.
Perhaps.
But yeah, so like the point that you made, Thoughts, was like they restricted information and they actually restricted action. And the result was people who passed away. And we're not going to get any type of apology for that whatsoever, ever.
No, they're not going to apologize. They got to be held to account. They're not going to just do it themselves. I mean, think about it. If you committed a crime, you're not going to not plead the fifth. You're going to plead the fifth.
Correct.
Why would you apologize for mission accomplished?
Exactly. Makes no sense.
And that's sad. It's sad, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me tell you guys one in my area that kind of relates to that. Okay, they got no problem if we have a pyramid. Okay, you guys always notice that the capstone, right? It levitates above the trapezoid, right? The capstone with the all-seeing eye. Okay, that isn't part of the compartmentalized structure of support beneath. Okay, and as they try and reduce everybody on the second tier, you used to have, for lack of a better way of seeing it, you would have your adjutants, and then you'd have your lieutenants and your captains going down, and then the guy in fucking boot camp down there on the bottom. But now that every indication across every discipline shows us that they're squeezing that variability out of the whole damn thing. And I'm sorry, guys, but some days it just literally feels like they just want masterclass and servants, or masterclass and chattel. Okay, to the point. We have a local food bank in my area. I've known people that have gone to it and they've gotten good stuff, and it's really helped. It's really helped. You know,
Well, I
folks.
think you're correct. Thoughts. If let's just take Wall Street for example. You have a high earning executive on Wall
I
Street.
got to finish that thought when you're done. Then.
All right, that's okay. I'm sorry, I didn't know I cut you off, but
Well,
I just
no,
want to
I was talking
reinforce
about
your
how they're
point.
cleansing, okay, out. And the
Yeah.
only thing I wanted to tell you is they got rid of old people that were kind of bogging down the streamlined system. Okay, good, no problem, no skin off their back. Okay, we just had an occurrence at this food bank that there are rare parasitic bodies living in the food there, and people are getting really ill, man. Like effed up ill. Men, women, children, all, man. And it's been in multiple products. Only at this food bank. You
Well,
tell me.
Here, what you got to understand, man, like, and you understand this, but I'll point this out to you. You take an executive on Wall Street and you put that executive, you decide that you win a trip to go to dinner with this executive, and Thoughts is he's gonna dress up, he's gonna go to dinner with this executive. He comes up to you, he understands where you're from, he understands the job that you work at.
Mm-hmm.
He understands what you do, he understands how many kids you have, he knows your economic level.
Okay.
What do you think? What types of things are going to go through this guy's head before he goes to dinner with you? What's he going to think about you already?
What's he going to think about me already?
Yeah, he's an executive from Wall Street.
Okay, because to me, an executive from Wall Street, let me at least make this differential for you. Mm-hmm. That pyramid I invoke, the distance between your Wall Street executive and me is about that much, okay? Because the way I see it, somebody like the President of the United States, okay, in my ethos and way of seeing things, the President of the United States is a middle manager.
That's fine.
He's not like a power dude. So this guy very well may have come from similar circumstances. You know, if he's trying to start a conversation, maybe he wants to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Pirates or the Penguins back in the day. You know, he's going to be looking for some common thing. You know, did your dad take you trout fishing? Did you ever hike the Appalachian Trail? Did you ever get stabbed in the ghetto? Those kinds of things.
Well, and even if in your head that distance is only that far, I think one of the things that we see at large in society these days is a very elitist mentality between the socioeconomic classes.
I agree.
And I think that we're really seeing that divide. People would look at me, people would look at you, people would look at Wales, people look at everybody in our situation and say, these guys are just complete conspiracy theorist idiots.
Right.
They're dumbasses. I can't even believe I'm going to waste time with these people.
Yeah, and it's so funny that they cast that aspersion. And they do. We've all experienced it. But see, what do? They get their news from a delivered source 5 minutes in the morning. We have a question or not satisfied and tend to spend the next year of our life reading, 7 different books, going to different articles, different historical facts about the thing, on and on and on and on. And we're constantly being marginalized by the dumb motherfucker who just takes the thing and says, doesn't do any digging or nothing like that, dude.
Why would he treat you like that? You as a person that knows way more than him, why is he okay internally with treating you like that?
It's social programming. And I'll tell you, the higher up they are, this is one I came up with. These ones, the higher up they are, they really legitimately in their minds, like Kamala Harris believes that she's going to get a seat on the spaceship. Like if she just does enough of what the fuck she's told, she believes in her heart of hearts that she's going to be right up there in platinum class with the the bloodline with the big boys. And little does that she know, they're just going to kick her ass right out the doors, man.
Well,
So it's false. What you're saying, this highfalutin, entitlement, just nose in the air, looking down at other human beings and shit, man, just putting on airs, bro. This shit's a membrane. It's paper thin.
True, and they don't have any reason to listen to you because there's no repercussions for not listening to you.
Soon come.
Did they do that to the same person?
Right there, Rags. Right there. I gotta stop you.
Yeah.
That's the main crux of the problem with the world today. You have all these intermediary entities that save you from suffering from the consequences of your actions.
Yeah. What do we say about keyboard biceps? You wouldn't talk to a motherfucker like that in your face, now would you?
Right. not a day in their life.
In the game that those guys play, they wouldn't say the same thing to their peer because the peer is capable of damaging them. But somebody like you or I, compared to them, we're not really that capable of damaging unless we work together at our level to do it. And we just don't work together very well.
No, not at
well,
all.
We don't organize very well.
You know, one of the ways that I like to just do it is something Wales often says too. It's like, don't waste any oxygen or calories combating the motherfucker. Live your best life and build. So when that motherfucker's like thinking he's got something over me, I'll just be like, yo, bitch, I don't answer to anyone 40 hours a week. How you like me now? You know?
Yeah. It's a difficult thing because and we'll just kind of go off. I haven't really expressed these types of thoughts before, but we're on Wales only, so screw it.
It's worth exploring.
Here's the thing: the Wales in thoughts. Let me know what you think about this. I think the big problem that we're going to run into is the benefit is we're all going to get we've got a lot of money. We're just going to get a lot more money, right? The problem is we're going to be going up against people who have hundreds of years collective more experience than we do. So our first couple moves, when we really decide to make some moves, we have to be very, very calculated. Very, very calculated. Because
you just gave me the perfect segue, Brandon.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got to go. No, you guys talk.
Thanks for the super chat, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, Steve. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to go get this document and make sure it doesn't say "fuck that ginger" all over it. And I'll be right back.
All right, hurry up, bro. I don't want you to lose your point. If we fuck around, move on. You're gone too long.
That's always been a concern of my Wales. It's like we have to be super, super on guard because we're just going up against people who have tons more experience in this game than we do. If we really want to grab power, it's gonna be like walking through a field full of landmines.
100%. Gotta know what you're doing.
And it's going to be difficult to vet the people that we think we can trust because we have to find alliances with people who have experience too to help guide us.
That's right.
It's difficult, man.
It's not easy. And this is why it's important to vet the people. Hold on. You good, bro? Because you froze up for a little bit. I didn't know if you was coming back or not.
Yeah. You guys see me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to copy and paste something. I'm just going to drop what Brandon, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Brandon just inspired me 2 days ago when he was speaking about Musk, and I just wanted to lend a couple insights.
Go ahead, brother.
Go ahead. Just continue your conversation.
Okay. No worries. I mean, I guess the net of what we're trying to say is that, it goes back to middlemen having too much control of the situation again, because what's the problem? It's just like you said, Rags. They got the experience. They know how it works. And all it is middlemen. Upon middlemen, upon middlemen, upon middlemen, upon middlemen. That's all we have to contend with.
Yeah.
So
that's the honest fact.
So are you suggesting, I'm trying to follow this and I agree. So in order to bypass that, you're just saying that screw all that other stuff. We just build our own thing apart from the system. Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily,
Okay.
because then the system is still there to attack you.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to attack the system. The question is how. And the right way to do it is by playing their game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you play their game? Well, it's easy. Remove the moves that they have. And we're already seeing that happen in real time. It's happening in real time. Look at what happened with Twitter. That's just one of the many moves that are coming.
Mm. Well, you guys sound like I don't know the details, obviously, the nuance of each man's view on it, but you do sound like you're a little bit synthesized in this Twitter thing as it being macro, okay, a positive.
It's a positive in the sense that people will now be able to say what they want on the platform. But that's about where it ends.
Okay. Well,
I'm realistic. I'm not like a Elon fucking fanboy.
Yeah, no, I've heard you. I've heard you.
That's this is gonna be his metadata bucket. You know, this here is gonna be where he's able.
Damn it, you got
It's easy, bro. This is not hard. This is
So-
not hard.
For the sake of the Thursday afternoon talk, we'll then put Brandon, okay, is going to be, Elon, awesome. And Wales is going to be in the middle, wait and see. And then we'll have Thothchild, I know it's not his usual personality or it's not his MO.
We get to role play Thursday?
Role play Thursday.
Thirsty Thursday. But this is what I was the day that it was announced, and I'm making a long drive, and sure enough, I'm listening to this crazy ginger motherfucker on the old YouTube.
Negative there.
And
Hexaminium. How do you say that?
Exonymum. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead, Thoughts. Sorry, man.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. We got to take care of our chat.
Yeah,
So, Brandon, it just sounded. No, I'm not like. I hope you know I'm not like dissing you, or I'm not.
Bro,
even
you can't diss me. I like this stuff. Let's talk. I like talking.
Yeah, well, I'm not even coming at you with any kind of venom. I'm just taking a counterpoint, and I'm loving that we can talk this
You can't
way.
offend me. I'll be good.
And I was funny because when I was writing it, I was almost talking to you like you were in the room and shit.
Yeah.
And you guys will forgive me, Hexico, forgive me, because this was fresh, one take, not edited, but it was my thoughts trying to get across that title of this would be that something along the lines of, I think Elon Musk buying Twitter is yet another okey doke. So, Brandon, hey, brother, man, I want to believe too, but I need to lay an alternative take in here. We all, well, most in Hexico anyway, seem to understand the Hegelian dialectic. The problem, reaction, solution. Just not sure that all of Hexico understands what it smells like, what it sounds like, what it looks like when it's happening. We all seem to understand the idea of Hegelian dialectics, but seem to be lacking when it comes to identifying it as it's happening right in front of us in real time. Now, I've spoken ad nauseum about the main feature of these social architects, of these puppet masters, controllers of society. I've identified them now for several years as an ancient dark occult order of master, and this is the most important part, ancient dark occult order of master psychologists. Okay? Fuck sorcerers, fuck magicians. At the end of the day, these people know how to manipulate and ply the human psyche to get you to react the way that they want you to. So this would also then make this ancient order masters of what we have referred to, and this will drive Mr. Kool-Aid crazy, GTO, that's game theory optimal. They are, as a matter of their commitment and care to not only their mission statement, but their religious beliefs, are against fecundity. Okay? Fecundity meaning what? Creativity, fertility, okay? Any kind of inherent abundance that comes out of nature. People that utilize certain lexicon could say that they're rebels against a creator. Going on, this is where it just kind of fell apart. But what I was trying to get across is that as masters of the human psyche, okay, playing a long game, working a game theory that goes so far beyond anything that we've ever thought of. It's so optimal. If on my best day, you know, I could go out 3 years and think 32 iterations, okay? These guys could go out 500 years and work out 5,000 iterations. I have become, I don't want to say given into being jaded, because that's almost like Walking Dead. But we have seen Elon Musk, quote unquote, Elon Musk buying Twitter, it would seem to me, before. And I am going to move forward in this, you know, suspicious. What Wales said about harvesting metadata, guys, Elon Musk is a transhumanist. We all need to get to the bottom of what transhumanism is. Seriously. That takes eugenics and turns it on its motherfucking ear. We are Hexicans. We got behind Aubrey de Grey and the Sens Foundation, right? That's some real shit. Do you know what the other side of that is? Ray Kurzweil, Elon Musk, and the transhumanists, man. Man, they get their CBDC and they plug in port in the back of your neck. It's game the fuck over. Okay, and now last point about Elon, 2 things. I have not been able to find it that I can say, here you go, but I told you I'm not that guy. Fuck you. People say, show me the proof. I'm going to give you the fact. You go find the proof, bitch. I wasn't put here for your fucking benefit, okay? I sweat, I cried, I bled. You go do the same. But there are reputable teachers in the alternative intellectual space, as well as conspiracy analysts, because conspiracies exist, that Musk comes from a pretty old South African family of fascists with connections to the Third Reich. When you combine that with the fact, this is a fun one, and I brought it up before, Werner von Braun, people are like, paperclip. Paperclip doesn't scratch the fucking surface of what happened at the end of the 1940s. These guys, could be argued, they did not lose the war. They just changed jerseys, redefined themselves. Werner von Braun came in here, a Nazi. They put him in charge of NASA. Oh, yeah. I said the words. I no longer believe that anymore. No. USA apple pie. Fucking, I mean, everybody, mission control was all fucking Nazis. These guys are all fucking Nazis. Werner von Braun was feared and respected. He wrote one work of fiction. He wrote one book of fiction. It was about a mission to the moon. And what was the hero's fucking name? That's it.
Well, whole lot to unpack in that,
ask me
bro.
a question.
Well, I'm sorry.
Ask me a question.
Ask you a question.
Yeah.
I know you're not convinced, but you're leaning towards a feeling that there could be some altruism or something trustworthy for you in this guy. Now, in the same way I've heard you say you'd never know if it was flat earth or a globe because you've never been up there to see.
Right.
What helps you, Brandon, being intelligent as you are, what helps you differentiate a fascist Elon on a long game versus an Elon that has altruism in his heart and love for the freedom of humanity? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Because I value what you say. You know what I mean? I want to hear it. Like,
no, absolutely. And the answer is probably not going to be suitable for a lot of folks in this chat. But I'm going to tell you just straight up that I am the type of person that pays very, very, very close attention to all of the small details when people are communicating.
Yeah.
Now, could that be hijacked? Could that be hijacked from, based on somebody who knows how to manipulate in terms of psychology, et cetera? Sure. But all those little small moments that don't really make the headlines, that you go back and you listen to Elon and you listen to the people who have worked for him, and you see the way that he reacts to certain questions, you see the tone of voice, you see the facial expressions, this and that.
Yeah.
He could be playing a good poker game, man. I consider myself a person that can pick up on these things pretty well.
Yeah.
And I am leaning towards, even if there is a non-altruistic long game, in the short term, I feel like he really did just pay $45 billion for free speech, playing the only game that was available.
So there's something to you that's genuine.
Yes, I'm picking up something genuine, and that's as far as I can take it. And that's just how I feel about it. Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah. So and you just look at his Twitter. Like I said, one side of the equation is it's all engineered, but then the other side, like, he has a history of pushing back against people who he feels like are screwing others.
I heard you say that about the SEC the other day.
Yeah, but he said, he quotes, "I still respect the rule of law." He has to play within the confines of the law.
Right.
So that's where I'm at with this. Now, I know his other stances on stuff that I do not agree with whatsoever. And the other part of this is, why is he looking to the stars? He's sitting on a stage with Jack Ma from Alibaba, and Jack Ma is like, "Why are you looking at the stars? I'm focused on what's happening here on Earth. What's the deal?" And he kind of laughs and scoffs at Elon.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can see both sides, but I can see, like, if he's really interested in pushing humanity forward without all the tyranny and authoritarianism, then I think looking at the stars is not a bad place to look, because everybody has to play their role in society, and nobody's really playing that role.
Yeah.
I just hope that he's benevolent. I hope so.
Okay. That makes sense what you're saying, but now take a long view, brother. Take the view that there's thousands of years
right
on this side of Elon. Okay. And I've had the good fortune in my life to have some teachers and friends and people who would walk me through it. You would have to know that there actually already exists a class of super elite that believe that it is their spiritual, religious, ceremonial birthright to take humanity to the stars, and it's only for them. And that it is going to be like a paradise, and they're going to live for thousands of years, and it's going to be peace, love, and happiness. But what they leave out when they're talking to you and I is that, yeah, we also say the way that the dog in the not the Pentateuch. What's the first books of the Jewish Torah, where they say the dogs aren't fit to eat the scraps off the floor? Okay, that's the part they leave out. oh yeah, we're only talking about that peace, love, and happiness that you guys like. Guess what? You're not part of that. And that's just a fact. And I don't have a poster that says Elon is a card carrying member, right? of
Yeah.
such a lineage. But I'm one of those that, and we've talked about this before, me and Wales. If you got the thing like you did in school and it says 2 + what = 4, you know, you're allowed to fill in that middle integer, or you're not. So walks like a duck, quacks like the duck, you know. But you make me think I got to check it closer too.
Well, and here's the thing, man. You gotta consider this. How can we proceed through life, and how can we proceed as a society knowing that there are all of these high level manipulations or attack vectors? How do we progress? Can you imagine
you want to feel really, really good about yourself and your woman and your child, your family. You want to feel really good about life this weekend, guys. Tallest Child's going to give it to you right now on Thursday. It's mind blowing that these motherfuckers have to come up with tens of thousands of attack vectors, and the shit is not automatic. That's how powerful we are. That's how incredible, multi-dimensional our potential, our fecundity, our abundance. Oh my God, it's explosive, and it keeps these motherfuckers up at night. It keeps them up at night. They're like, God damn it, we got to come up with some more shit to fuck these people up. That makes me feel. I think
it's time for Wales to interject, because y'all just having your own conversation, and both of y'all got lots of work to do.
Let's hear it, Wales.
I'm not gonna give y'all anything. Both of y'all got lots of work to do. Because here's the thing: we're talking about things that we can discuss, but everybody isn't ready for them, and that's a fact that has to be contended with when we speak about these topics publicly. Because even the smartest motherfuckers do not understand this topic. Period. That's a fact. So to talk about flat Earth, not flat Earth, small Earth, big Earth, blah blah blah, it's a conversation that's really not ready for public conversation, because guess what? The public has to be ready to actually be able to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Everybody is not ready for that.
I'm gonna defer to you and say that instead of locking horns with you on that one this time, I'm gonna say, you know, Wales, you very well could be right, because you're talking about in a world such as this.
Yeah, I mean this one, not the one we live in. Our world doesn't matter.
Right. Because for the last 30 years of my life, everything that I've gone to, we lift them up. We lift them up into what's going on. I don't tell the master what's what. I learn from the master, and I come up to his level. Okay. But you're saying something about this space that you probably have a better understanding of. So I can get that.
The question originally was, what were my thoughts pretty much on the intention of Elon Musk? And I very plainly answered that based on what I'm looking at from this man, based on what he's putting out, I'm getting an air of being genuine. And the only other point that I wanted to make, and Wales, I think this is very important too, with so many people out there that are so skeptical because they've been burned so many times by the government. They don't feel like they can trust anything. How do we move forward as a society in trying to innovate things when no proposal can be trusted?
Right.
So that's the point that I was making.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Okay.
And there's only one way. But just before we move on, let me introduce Max here. He's RH Maximus on Twitter. He's relatively new. He's been around. What you doing? How you doing? But how'd you find Hex? Let's talk to you for a little bit before we continue with this topic, because it's a good one.
Hey, yeah, how's it going? Like you said. Hey, nice to see Rags to Riches and Tallest Child here as well.
Max, what's up, man? What's up?
Welcome.
Hey, as well said, I mean, I'm new to being public and kind of doing streaming and stuff like that. But I mean, I've been following Richard since maybe late 2016, early 2017.
Yeah, that's my brother.
I've been in the shadows for a while, but yeah, I started started breaking out recently. Actually, got a Hex Twitter, wisdom, wealth, happiness, all that stuff. Sci-Vive, and yeah, I've been breaking out on my blog recently. Kind of doing some creative content on there. Yeah,
excuse me, you do have a blog. I forgot
I'm
about
happy to be on with you gents.
Where do we find you, Max? How do we find you, I should say?
Yeah, show your stuff, bro.
A pen.
He's RH Maximus on Twitter. I know that much.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, my connection's kind of crap right now.
Yeah,
Sorry, I missed that, but yeah, RH Maximus.
Yeah, all good, brother. All good. Yeah, so welcome aboard, man. Look, so let me ask you, what motivated you to come out of the shadows, right? Because that's always the big thing. Like, what forced you to do it? Because you didn't have to. Clearly, you're day one Hex again, probably. You know, you're probably retired to some extent. Like, you don't have any. You know, what's your motivation?
Yeah, it's a good question. I just I don't know. I think so. Again, just going back to my name, RH Maximus. It's not RH Maximus for just crypto. I really believe in a lot of the ideals Richard has. And,
you friends with SJ?
you know, I just felt like stuff out of the interactive community more pulse up next, and I don't know, just watching streams and kind of just sitting on the sideline. So that's why I thought I'd jump in and just be like, hey, I don't know if you'd be a streamer, but I definitely want to interact with the community more. And I don't know, I got some time, so why not put it to create some creative use and helping people and stuff.
That's it, baby.
My observation is the retired. I'm not one of them, but my observation up to now has been that the retired Hexican is one of the busiest people on planet Earth.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you're retired, it doesn't mean you just stop working all the time. It means you can just sort of pick and choose what you got, where you put your energy, where you put your
can
time.
Work on what you want, right?
Exactly. Everybody wants to get rich, but they really just want to be their own boss, pretty much.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's the interesting thing that a lot of people don't realize, right? And I've kind of been talking about that the whole time I've been streaming. You know, it's obvious Hexicans are going to get all this money. You know, so what? Means nothing. There's plenty of people out there with money already. What does it mean? Means nothing.
Yeah, just a means to an end. I mean, for me,
there's still people starving. There's still homeless people. There's still this. There's still that. There's still all these negative things going on in the world. So who gives a crap that you're going to come into money? Who cares? Right?
Yeah, you want to be the king of the hill of ashes, right?
Right. It's like, so who cares, right? It's like, well, what's the big deal, right? And these are the things you got to answer for, right? Because you're just a regular Joe Schmo. Nobody's going to respect a crypto wealthy person because they have a...
Yeah, I really reticket.
Yeah. They have a specific perception of
crypto.
Go ahead, man. I think you got a lag going on over there.
I was going to say, hey, Max, you know what you should do? You should start by getting some kick-ass internet.
Yeah, I'm so rich I can't afford good internet. That's true. That's a good point.
Well, you're probably out in the sticks, so there is no good internet for you.
It's you know, Starlink's hopefully going to save us all, folks who don't live in the city all the time.
Right.
But
that's the hope. Definitely the
it's
plan.
funny. It's funny. You know, you put on your roof and you try to adjust it, and you think, it's going to rain today. Yeah. Well, maybe you just fucked. I don't know. But no, I just wanted to say, I mean, you talked about money, and I think that's a good point. That I think people are they're going to treat it as lottery.
Oh, you just lost him. Yep. We lost him.
But overall, they're not going to use it to improve their community. They're not going to use it to get themselves into generational wealth. They're going to use it to, hey, I got some cool stuff now. On to the next thing. On to the next thing. Oh, I hope I don't lose it. You know, the best way to be a millionaire is to become a billionaire and lose it all.
Yeah,
by investing. Yeah,
that's definitely not a lie.
Hey, man, Brandon, I really enjoyed our conversation. I thought it was valuable. I thought the audience was captivated. And I really honestly thought Wales was laying back and trying something different for a change. And he was observing intently. And what's he do? He comes in and says, "You're both dumb motherfuckers."
I'm not saying y'all both dumb. I'm saying
I'm
no,
playing.
no, because I actually know. Like you guys know I deep dive. I do not fuck around. So
Mhm.
once I had the time to devote to this effort, well, shit, it didn't take me long to figure out exactly what the hell is going on. So I know what it is.
Yeah.
Whether flat Earth, not Earth, whatever, I know exactly what's going on. Everybody isn't ready to have that conversation, even though I am.
Yeah.
Because here's a problem. We can't sit here and give anybody any concrete facts saying yes, this, that, and the third. You got to have some specific kind of understanding to even be able to believe what I know. And that's the issue. That's why people need to understand, first and foremost, that they are given a set of false assumptions from day one. So, based on that simple fact, they can never, ever, you can't even hope, right, to know what's really going on if you're not disassociating yourself from all the shit that's given to you.
This is true.
Do you
We're
think there's a
all
way to
taught.
set the stage to make it where it's easy to consume some of these ideals that are just,
And you
it's
know what?
hard to.
That's kind of what I was going to ask, Max. I was going to ask Wales if he thought, by dint of being a hexagon, has that already put somebody into like a classification where you think they're better suited to handle some things? Like, where do you?
That's what I thought, but no.
No. Okay.
How do I know? Well, look at what we just saw over the past 6 months.
Oh,
Bunch of crying motherfuckers. So they're clearly not ready for the big leagues. This is just a bunch of people that hope to get rich and vamoose.
oh, makes me sick, man. I cannot believe the attitude. Well, I can, but it's still the attitude change of so many of my onboards, man. You know, when we were going 32 cents, 45 cents, oh my God, we're on a team. I love life. And then as soon as that motherfucker went down, they're like, poof, poof.
I think Max, to answer your question, and I think Wales and I are trying to tackle this too. What we want to do is take some of these terms and some of these things that you hear on streams all the time and isolate them and then provide context for those terms. And I think that that's probably one of the best ways to understand concepts. You just focus on one thing and you define it, give it context, and then you can kind of build out from there. What do you think, Max?
Yeah, I think so. As far as education goes, I got a little experience on this, just building classes and things like that. It's really, and Wells hit to the point initially. It's hard to get people to even speak the same language in order to onboard them to these concepts. So if you want someone to believe something, and especially it's in their best interest that they don't believe it because of whatever their religion or their job or whatever it is, you need to make it attractive by setting the stage of, okay, this will help you in some way. So first, give them incentive. Second, give them the basic concepts to build off of. And then third, if you're able to get them into the system where they can start creating their own ideals from what you've taught them, then you've got them in the tribe. You've got them all hooked on that idea, on that concept, where that you can do. But I think so. If you want to get folks into these ideals that they can't quite wrap their head around, I think the best way is maybe a class or some kind of like training or some kind of just like immersion into that and showing them why it's useful to even know this stuff. Because otherwise, it's easy to just be like, oh, you guys are crazy, or this is not going to make my life any better. You try to talk somebody out of being a Christian, and they're going to be like, well, can you give me eternal life? No? Okay, I think I'll go with the other one. So it's that kind of like that kind of thing. It's just a ground up education problem from SU.
And
Hey, Brandon.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Brandon.
Go ahead.
Brandon and Wales were paired together a lot in the last stream too, and then it happened just now too. I like where you guys come from on a lot of topics. Then, what if you guys are taking the terms and making them available to people and giving them context? What's a thoughts child doing, by your estimation? I don't need to know. But I know what I do, but I'm interested to hear what you think I do.
I think you do the same thing. I think you're saying very
Everybody's
similar
saying the
things.
same thing, though. That's the thing.
Well, I think that he's saying it the way that he would know. He knows how to say
Yeah,
it, just like I say, and you say the same thing too, the way you know how to.
that's right. And that's
Yeah.
my point. That's why I
Yeah.
always say everybody has to get out there and do their thing, no
Everybody
matter
has a role.
what
Yeah.
their thing is.
Yep.
Look at Max. He came out of nowhere, and this guy's been around since 2016,
That's wild.
right? Because he finally decided, all right, this is what I'm going to do. This is my thing. And that's it. It ain't that hard. You know, you just got to find your thing. That's
And
the hard part.
there's people that take to. We could all say the exact same sentence, and somebody would take the whales better than they would me or you or Max.
Mm-hmm.
They just take to you differently. That's why it's
Different
important
personality.
for everybody to create content, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
you never know who's going to take to you over somebody else.
Yeah, the resonance factor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that would be my answer. Thoughts?
Cool. Yeah, I like to hear what you think.
Yeah. Guys, I get to go eat a steak right now.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
he's
gotta
good.
roll,
Get
don't
off
you?
the stream.
Hey
Yeah,
man,
bro,
today's my elder care facility day. I volunteered. I gotta go take out the diapers at the home. So I got a jet too. You get to eat steak. I'm taking out 30 diapers. Well, you know.
One of
Well,
them's
I'm
making a
putting work
difference.
in. It's for the wife here, taking
Quite
her out.
something.
So we got to put some work in. Wales, thank you very much for having me on, dude. I
Always a
really, really
pleasure, brother.
appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
And thoughts, you know how I feel about you, and it's not pretty. Max.
We still don't know
Max,
if Brandon's wearing pants, folks.
Max, you be
True.
good. Chat. Really, yeah, the
Appreciate it.
chow bell just rang for Rags. Y'all be good. I'm out.
Ding. Peace, brother.
Or the arm.
Oh, too funny, man. But
Yeah.
you know, I think everybody wants the same thing, you know, but I think some people don't really want it. Right? Like they kind of want to be part of the gang that wants it because that's the end thing.
Yeah.
That's what
Well,
I've seen.
Overcoming
ahead,
the
man.
social pressure too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like for you to wrap your head and believe in something completely new and outside of the the traditional orthodoxy of wherever you're at. That takes a big commitment. It takes you to be heavily incentivized, and nobody, once you commit in that direction, you don't want to have to be embarrassed, turn around, and look back. So getting someone to commit to something that big that changes fundamentally the way they view something, especially in society, it's a big leap for people to take. So just making that easier
pretty
for them, like I said. Yeah.
You've been around like in the periphery, so you're familiar with this character we've been talking about, Jim Rat Crypto, right?
Yeah. I've seen some of those streams.
The reason that we've been consonant on it because we see the value in this guy, right? Who we pretty much all wanted to choke when we first met him, but then we found a man who has like grapefruit-sized testicles, as I said, who isn't afraid to be vulnerable, okay, and show that he doesn't know it all, and go through this learning curve. And when I was thinking about it after we talked about it in the last stream, like he could literally have 20, 50, 100, 200 people who are literally shadowing his growth. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you watch him 3, 5, 7 days a week. You're with Jim Rat Crypto. You're watching him go from 0 to 100. And he is doing that, by the way, because he's going hard as hell. And you could like lift up your education could be expedited, and you're increasing your knowledge. You're getting better and better and better. But it's Jim Rat who's out there taking the hits, asking the stupid questions, willing to put himself out there to get better. And I think that's a fascinating phenomenon. I don't know if you noticed that.
I think we lost Max, huh?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I guess I better get going, man.
All right, brother. You happy if you got to? No worries.
Thank you so much for asking me. It means a lot every time, Wales. So have a good rest of your Thursday night. And Max, I'm really looking forward to speaking with you a little bit more. I found Richard,
Yeah,
in like
same.
end of 2017, brother. I found Richard.
Wow.
Nice. We're on the same track on that.
Yeah. Except I didn't buy Hex.
Better late than never, brother.
Another tale for another time.
Yeah, better late than never too, right? That's what I
Yeah.
say.
I'm here. I got T-shirts, bitch.
That's it.
What that shit you say? Oh, Samuel Jackson.
He
T-shirts.
says, "Motherfucker, do you have them?"
I love it.
T-shirt,
I
old
love it.
name.
Too funny, man. Too funny.
All right, my brothers. Everybody. Chat. Love you guys. Be
Man,
well.
you guys got to really stop using these mobiles to get on StreamYard. It's just an epic failure, man. Every time is an epic fail. Every single time. Wow. Yeah, don't do that. It's
Yeah,
just
not the best angle either.
yeah. It's just not for mobile. I don't know what it is. Like, iPad, phone, it just doesn't work. And I've tried both. It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Anyway, um, so yeah, I'm gonna try to see if a while SJ comes on with us in a few. Invited her on. So I was just gonna really talk about looks like we got a little hex bottom going on. Finally, maybe, perhaps. Now when you look at HEX.VISION, let me just pull up some data.
You talking about the bottom from like the 10-cent bottom is coming up from there, or you think right now is?
No, as in the bottom's been in for months already. It's been in since what, March 9th or something like that, March 15th.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The bottom's been in for a while. So we just been going sideways, trying to find our footing, and then that's just basically a function of uh all the stakers that are ending stakes and selling, being done with that. So let me just pull up Hex.
That's the thing that's a little scary. That every time, I kind
Mhm.
of optimize on, oh, every time I see a big sell, oh, that's somebody else that can't sell later. But then, according to the well alert and all that stuff, it's like you see the same guys buying and selling the huge, T
Chunks.
shares for
Hmm.
chunks at a time, and it's like, man, I think that I guess that principle doesn't quite apply to this situation because they just keeps buying and selling huge chunks at a time over short periods.
Yeah. But I think that the people that are causing the downward price action in a dramatic fashion are not those people, because those are people that are using the market frequently. Typically, the people that we see causing the ridiculous dumps in price, right? The morons that tip the market sideways are the people that, sell a million at a clip,
You don't
moronically.
think it's the herd with sentiment?
No. Because what happens is that you destabilize the liquidity pool. You just tipped it one way. So if you tip
Yeah.
something in one direction, what happens? I mean, it's like moving a herd in one direction, right? Once one starts running, the rest are going to start running too. And that's markets work the same way. They're reflexive, right? And people tend to forget that because they want to think what they want to think. But that's not how markets work. Markets work based on humans and how they react, nothing else.
Yep. All those lines
So
are just fingertips and thoughts.
that's literally it, straight up. Because there is nothing else that is going into that system to generate an output. It's just what we are deciding to do, literally. And once you come to that understanding, it's a whole different level of analysis, because you're no longer really just coming off the cuff with nonsense. You're really looking at things objectively, right? You're understanding what you're trying to look at. So here we go. 5-9. The last big stake that's coming out of the system anytime soon.
Mm,
Couple weeks
that
away.
is timely.
Yeah, a couple weeks away. And we know what happened last year after the staking season and staking season was over, because that's what this is. Q4 2021 into Q2 2023 is basically end staking season. Same thing happened last year.
Yeah,
So
this. I mean, this is kind of a pulse thing. but it could be, I mean, also related to X. I heard on a stream the other day, a guy was talking to his tax advisor, and the way they were going to structure it was instead of using abandonment for the sacrifice, they were going to treat it like an ICO. So apparently, if you do that, whenever it was, would be when your 1 year starts for
We're losing you a little bit there, Max.
some sort of, well, July might be interesting if people are using that for their tax. As a tax could affect tax as well.
Madam, welcome aboard.
Hello there.
How you doing?
I am fantastic. It is an honor to be here with you.
Yes, Jay.
Oh, my pleasure.
What is up,
Honored
Max?
to meet you as well.
Yeah. Love that octopus icon.
Thank you.
Get your tentacles on everything.
Got to. But Max, you were cutting in and out, man. You were cutting in and out. So we're going to need to start from the top, bro. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, no, I was saying that one tax strategy that I heard the other day was, so if you treat it as abandonment for your pulse sacrifice, that would be, I think, again, non-tax advisor, blah, 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 but that would be your gains would start when you receive the coins, or the clock would start ticking at that point. But the point made the other day was if you don't treat it as abandonment and you treat it, and the clock would actually start in July instead of when you got them. So last July. So the point is there could be a lot of selling for tax purposes in July with Pulse and other stuff in the ecosystem, which may be an indicator on this.
Something to look out for. How about that?
Yeah.
So when you look back at last year, sorry, brother, you cut out again because I started talking over.
Just say it could be good news or bad news, depending on your.
Oh, right. I mean, we'll see, because I mean, last year what happened? In July, just went sideways a little bit. Then, the Pulse chain SAC was announced and price ran up for a few days, and then it just went sideways because of the whales trying to suppress price until the end of the SAC, and then boom, right? So it was a different scenario back then. We'll see what happens this year. But one thing I would like to highlight is what I was just saying. Basically, Q4 leads into basically early May, and then we get our nice price pump just because of staking activity and how it was laid out based on how HEX was released, because it was released at the beginning of December. People started putting their stakes in there. So a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, right? Every year you're going to see some type of selling cycle around fourth quarter going into that point in time. It's just what makes sense, right? Because what else is going to cause that type of selling activity in such large waves? Because it's not what we saw before that. I mean, that's a 260 something X. You know, it's not something to scoff at. That's not a mistake, right? That came from somewhere. So just like that came from somewhere, this comes from somewhere as well. And this is why, I try to get people to understand what happens when a transaction is occurring. It's a changing of value from point A to point B to point C, right? And that point B in this instance is going to be the DEX, because those liquidity pools are where you are receiving that coin from and who you're giving your coin to, right? Because when you're coming to buy a coin or token, whatever you want to call it, you're stepping up with ETH, USDC, some other coin. You have to give that coin to the liquidity pool at some ratio in order to receive the coin you're trying to get. Otherwise, you get nothing, right? That's pretty straightforward. So that's a transfer of value. That is not a button click. That is you making a decision and making a withdrawal, and at the same time making a deposit. And people do not really grasp that. And that is how you really attain full understanding of this market. It's not by just looking at some chart. That shit is irrelevant. Trust me, I did it for a decade. It don't pay the bills. You got to understand the mechanics of what is driving this market. That is how you really become the type of person that can speak about these things in such a way that makes everybody else seem crazy because they're not even on your level. Right? I mean, How
Yeah.
something goes from A to B is important. This is how we discover what happens in between and make adjustments. You cannot ignore reality. It just doesn't matter what you want to think. And this is why so many people are about to fucking be. I'm gonna tell you what, it's gonna be funny to see where we are a year from now. Because I sure as hell I'm gonna be laughing. Because we're not gonna be here.
What do you think in the next 3 weeks? You think there will be a fulfillment of
3 weeks.
pump?
I mean, there's no telling because there's still stakes coming out in mass, right? And this is what I'm talking about. Right now is what this is the 28th. So for the next 2 weeks, we got a ton of stakes coming up. So ain't no telling what's gonna happen.
Well, I was referencing so if Pulse does launch, mid May or whenever, it seems like a lot of people are going to hold on to that or buy a bunch more to get the copies, and there's going to be a crazy
Hmm.
selling event for right before and then right after, buying and selling event. You think
Right.
that's still in play?
Well, check this out. If you look at the chart, mid-May is right when heavy stake season is basically over. So you're going to have a compounding of factors, right? You're going to have a compound effect. You're going to have Pulse Chain Mainnet launch plus this. So don't
So Wells
wait.
is calling $1 hex mid May. That's what I heard.
Mid-May dollar hex. That's funny. I actually did the math on what it would take to get hex to $1 today, and that's $263 million. A one buy of $263 million is what it would take. So for whoever is interested in making that happen, knock yourself out.
Yeah, that does not sound like a crazy idea. That's not too far off.
It's not, right? And this is what
Yeah.
people don't understand. I mean, we see tons of money getting staked all the time
Hmm.
in this ecosystem, and it's not a mistake. It can't be. We see it too often, right? So how does that happen? Are people just tripping on the stake button? I don't think so. Somebody's making that decision.
Oops.
I need,
Yeah.
Oops.
I need,
Staked
that
again.
meme. I need that meme
Right.
tripping on the stake button.
Let me fix my damn Telegram. I don't want that popping up all over there. But yeah, nobody's making a decision haphazardly, right? Like they're thinking through that stake, 'cause they gotta go through various steps to get to that point. So it's not like you can even act like it's some like, oh my bad, I didn't mean to do that. What do you mean you didn't mean to do that? You didn't mean to pick that date at that point in time and then go to hex.com and then do the things you gotta do to just make that thing an actual stake. Like that doesn't happen by mistake. There's a lot of steps that go into that. Right. So, think about that.
Yeah.
How? And that is how you start to understand the market, because you as a person are a great reference point. What would I do in this scenario? Oh, I would do this, and then probably somebody else would do the opposite. This is how I started to actually learn, because nobody has taught me anything. Nobody. It's one thing to get information from others, and it's another thing to understand the information that's being given to you. And if you don't already have some type of reference, then you really don't have anything to understand it in comparison to, right? And it's kind of like what me and Rags were talking about earlier, at the beginning. I don't even think you guys I don't even think anybody knew the stream was going on. We were talking about this, but it started out talking about how we were trying to like how we were as children in the military. Because even though you're 18, 19, 20, you're a child. You don't know a damn thing.
Hmm.
You really don't know anything until you're older than 30 in most cases, and that's male or female, because you don't experience the world enough until that point in time to really get a lot of the issues that affect everything that happens to you. And the sad fact is some people choose to recognize it, others don't. And that's why some of us stay stuck in time. A lot of us are stuck in time. To ignore what's going on around you in your face is to be stuck in time. I mean, 2020, 2021, 2022 taught us full and well this world is full of fucking zombies already. You don't need the Walking Dead. Shit's already here.
Yep.
And not enough people really want to respect that. Now I'll keep saying it until motherfuckers cement that somewhere because it's true. Because how the hell do you get what's going on today? By people not caring, by people not paying attention, by people not being educated, by people not being interested in being educated or paying attention. You know, like they want to just complain, have a good time, and not be bothered. And guess what? That shit ain't how it works. It's just sorry. You know, I wish because that's what I was doing for God knows how long until I realized I was jacking up too. Right? Because when your life don't work out, it's because you are not doing the right things. It's not because society's fucked up. Trust me, I already tried that route. It don't work. It ain't you, it's you,
Hmm.
right? You like to think it's not you. You tell the world it ain't you, but yeah, it's you, man. You know, you gotta adjust no matter what. You might be the smartest motherfucker on the planet, but guess what? If you don't know how to communicate with humans, nobody's gonna ever know. True
You
story.
can only have so many rock friends.
That's right. You don't want to buy them from the Pet Rocks dude either.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
rocks,
Pet
volleyball,
rocks
all that
guy.
stuff. Not as useful as humans for sure.
Not at all. I mean, what
Hey,
we
I'm gonna
doing with
stop
that?
torching y'all with my crazy
You
latency and
hopping
lag
off?
right now. I apologize. I
No
got.
worries, man.
I will hop off, but I promise if I am invited back on by Wells, I will come back stronger than today.
Okay,
I
so let
apologize.
me repeat this
Set this
because
router on
people
fire.
forget. People forget. Hold on, Max. Don't go just yet. People forget. Anybody has an open invitation to jump on my stream. I don't know how
No
people
worries.
act like I'm some type of god or something. I'm just some guy that YouTubes. That's it.
You're not the stream god.
No, no. I don't have the keys to the streams. No.
Hey
Anybody can
man,
jump on stream here because it's open invitation. So don't be
I feel
shy for it.
educated. I didn't know that. That's
Oh
cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I definitely will.
Yeah, there you go, bro. Just give me a shout anytime I'm on, and you're welcome. No worries.
Will do. Appreciate it, sir. And
Of
good to
course.
see you, SJ.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, that's
Love all the
all.
work you're doing with Sci-Vive. It just makes my heart happy. Like, I'm not
Oh
alone.
God, you're killing me. You've been creating so much work for me indirectly. Like you just been. She's like she just keeps breathing, and I'm like,
Whoops.
oh, I gotta keep going.
We lost him again. Damn
Oh, sad Mike.
it. Yeah. Now, I don't know if it's his mic or his internet. Might be his internet.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's his internet. I think it's his internet. Yeah, we can't hear him at all now. Damn. Not even chopping up. Not at all.
The
Ah,
girl's like, he's got too much to say. Just
yeah, yeah, yeah. We gotta set him up. Oh man.
uh, looking at this chart right here in front of us, it
All
makes
right.
me. Oh,
I was
No,
afraid that
I'm
would
just
happen.
I'm just leaving. Take care.
No
okay.
worries.
I'll see you online.
Later,
Take care,
man.
Max. But
Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, looking at this right here, right, that last big end stake, it's gonna be cool to see the P or hex and e-hex stakes moving forward. Like, let's say we launch mid-May, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to bet that, in this May area, there's gonna be just all these stakes that are going to come out 15 years from now, or years from now. Like that,
Right.
this is now going to be mid May, or whenever Pulse Chain launches. That's now going to be the big, like, hey, here's when all the stakes are ending. At least
Right.
one of them.
Right. And look,
So
this
it
is the
makes me
9th of
think:
May.
do you
This is the
want a
9th of
stake
May.
right away?
Right. Well, yeah. Well, look.
That's true.
People forget. How does end staking work? Well, end staking is very straightforward. Unfortunately, most people do not understand how simple it is. And it works as follows. The system requests to find out what is the ROI of this stake that's ending relative to all of the other ones that have come previous. It measures, is it greater than or less than or equal to? That's it. Doesn't do anything else. If it's greater than, new t-shirt rate. That's it. If it's not, then it's the same. And that's it. That's literally how the t-shirt rate works. It's that simple. So the function is doing a calculation every point in time that a stake is ending. The only difference is the system is also measuring the ROI and taking into account what should the return be relative to the greatest one at that point in time. So if it's greater than, then you're gonna get a new t-shirt rate. And that's it.
Nice.
It's really that simple, you know. So what happens? Well, that means we're getting a little inflation from the system every time in the form of a t-shirt rate. Now, what does that look like? Because this is the secret to the sauce of Hex, right? What are we doing when we're buying Hex? Well, we're staking it, but what's the point? You know, who cares that we're staking Hex? You know, that doesn't really mean nothing to most people. Well, you got
Hmm.
to realize if you want this ridiculous price performance here in, this magenta color, you got to have some T-shares. If you just want this price performance in yellow, which is whatever, it's okay, but it's not like the magenta color. Um, that's just Hex by itself, right? And this is Ethereum in orange here. That's basically the same value as Hex is now in non-staked form. And interestingly enough, Bitcoin is at the same value that Hex is now. I'm sorry, T shares are now.
Oh,
And what
gotcha.
and what does Richard say all the time? Well, T shares are like Bitcoin in some sense. That's what he's always said. So as we continue to scroll through this, um, it's going to be interesting the relationships that we see in these charts because I know people don't look at my charts a lot. I know they don't. If they did, all this crime wouldn't be happening.
That's right. That's
Pretty
why I tell
straightforward.
everyone you're one of the first people I listened to, and because of that, I have never had a bad day. In terms of Hex, like I've
Yeah.
never worried because I'm just like,
Not,
no, no, it's in the code. We're
yeah.
fine.
It's software.
Yeah.
That's step one. That is step one of understanding what the hell is going on here, right? Because this is all new. It took me a while to figure it out, but I finally did because how the hell is Bitcoin still here? That's the biggest
Right.
question.
Yeah.
That's the biggest question that people must answer in order to understand this game. What the hell is Bitcoin still doing here? Because I promise you, I did not expect it to be here 5 years after it became a thing. And here it was, 2017, 2015, still here. And that's when I started looking at it again, really, was 2015. But at that point in time, it took us to 2017, and I just left because I just really didn't think that the SEC wasn't going to do anything, and all the things that just didn't happen. I thought that they were gonna happen. See, because I had already been working on Wall Street, I already knew the rules of regs, but just never happened. But the question is, why? Right? Why does this stuff continue to happen? Why is it that these things just continue to occur? It almost doesn't make sense. How is it that these people are able to get fleeced over and over and over? Well, it's because they can't do anything about it. Now,
That's
why
right.
is that? Well, you got to know how the internet works. Some shit. Let's do something I've never done before. Let's. How does the internet work? It's a
Yes.
dumb thing to Google, but guess
I
what?
love it.
That's what I had to do to learn. Yeah, true story. Because we really do not know how the internet works. Average
It's a
person,
series of tubes,
literally,
right?
is plumbing.
Series
Yeah,
of
it's
tubes.
plumbing because what's happening is that you're moving data packets.
Mm.
That's it. You're moving data packets. Oh, I don't want the history. I just want. Here we go. I was hoping for a better type of diagram, but mm, this didn't work out the way I thought it would. Hold on. I'm just looking for a decent image because I could tell you,
Like
right?
internet.
But I could tell you what. There we go. This is as good as a representation of the internet as we can actually get because that's really all it is. It could be two. It could be two computers. It could be 20,000. could be 20 million. Let me see if I can zoom in on this crap. Come on, man. Get out of here. So this is the internet in real time, right? You have computers that connect to a series of networks where information is stored, and that's where the information is accessed, right? Those points of information are called servers, right? Now, what's happening in between is that you're getting traffic. It's like plumbing. So what's happening? You're requesting information, and the thing that you're requesting information from is sending you information back. So it's like a game of tennis. Ping, 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 ping. Both sides are pinging. There's a ping from you to the depository with the information, and then a ping from a depository with the information back to you. That's literally how the internet works. Now, along that path, you got IP, you got MAC addresses, you got all these things, right, to theoretically dox you. Once you learn how those things operate, you can learn how to become a ghost. It's not hard. But you have to be willing to learn all those different pieces. That's it. You know, like, what's this? A modem. That's essentially an isolated network. It's not really just a modem. But you got to understand what a network is in the first place to be able to understand that, right? Because what's this? Ethernet cable. It's connecting you to a network. Wi-Fi. What is this? It's just a radio wave that connects you to the internet, right? The Ethernet cable gives you a direct connection, no radio wave, right? But then what do we have in this middle? This router. This router is giving you a pathway to access this information. This is where the local point of connection is for the end user, you and me, to connect to the internet, right? Whether it's, you know, a freaking huge bunch of networks, right? Like a huge network server or something like that. It doesn't have to be that. It could literally be this little router, right? And it's the same thing. This is just some random device. This is a mobile device. And, you know, that's really how the internet works. This is the internet service provider. Of course, the entity where the internet is disseminated from. And this is the internet. And here it tells you specifically what the internet is. A huge network that links together millions of computers and devices around the world. And guess what? That's what this is. It's no different. Because if you can, it's just like when you think about Bitcoin and the blockchain and any blockchain really, if you can access any copy of those records, well, you have access to that record. Doesn't matter where it is, right? Because you can access it. And that's ultimately the game, right? So once you wrap your head around how the internet works, well, then shoot. This is why you've had 3 Bitcoin halvings going on to the 4th one, right? Like, this is how Hex has been able to do what it's done. You know, how does this happen? Well, it is just software.
The best software.
That's software.
It's the best. That's
goes
crazy.
down.
Yep.
Yeah.
100% uptime. What? Like, I worked at Blizzard years ago. Like, I know about software.
Oh, speak to it then. Preach, because people don't want to believe me. People act
Man,
like I'm talking out of my ass.
This whole soon thing, you know, 4 more weeks at Blizzard, the joke was Blizzard soon. Like, they'd put a little trademark next to soon. Because that's how fucking software works. Like, you think it's going to come out, and then, you know, months and months go by. And you're just like, okay, soon. Yeah, it's coming soon, y'all. So for Hex to have done what it's done, to be immutable, to be 100, to have 100% uptime, like, I just don't, no bugs, no nothing, right? Like, it's beautiful. And I mean, that's all I know. Like, I'm not a very technical person, but it just, like, coming from that world and, like, listening to how Hex has done what it's done as a piece of software, it's unheard of. It's not normal.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. But here's the thing. How much more do you really need to know besides that? Because guess what? Does anything change about what you just said in regards to what Hex is? No, it's
Mm-mm.
just software. And the sooner a novice that enters the cryptocurrency space understands that, the sooner they are saved.
Yep. Absolutely. I had someone comment on my channel about how, oh, well, hope this comes out soon because if Richard dies, like,
Oh
it's
yeah, I
over.
see that
I'm just like,
nonsense all the time. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty
no,
funny.
that's not how it works.
So irrelevant. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
irrelevant. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
unfortunately, like everybody could die, it's still gonna keep operating
That's right.
because it's just computer code. It's doing the same thing as it's literally coded and compiled and debugged and all that stuff to do. And yeah, that's literally what it does every day. It like nonstop. 0000 UTC. It's reconfiguring everything in the system, and you're getting your pay and yada 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 blah blah blah. Literally, like it's straightforward. Money in the bank. I mean, it's almost free money in my mind. I don't. Even if you bought the top, like, did
Mm.
you do the right thing? Did you understand why you were buying, and did you get staked? Like, do you want all these nuanced questions? They matter, right? And this comment right here is just another reason why this code is so invaluable, because we got to sit here and think about it. What is it that's defining the value of this, of these coins? It's what they do and the narrative around them and how well they fit together, because people buy into what they see as value.
Mm-hmm.
This is why Beanie Babies have a price. I mean, I really, really latch on that so much because
Yeah.
people need to understand how ridiculous humans are. This is
Yep.
what yields success in markets. It's not your opinion. Your opinion is, in fact, irrelevant as fuck. I can't even stress how irrelevant a person's opinion is in the market, because the market does not care.
Nope.
I mean, people have to remember this was when this was the end of Hex. I was there listening to people say this on Twitter, on YouTube, and everywhere. That big payday was the end of Hex. 512x later, guess they were wrong. Or 250 or 256x later, yeah, they were wrong. Literally, not even exaggerating, right? So, how does that happen? There's only one way that could happen. That happens because people don't know what they're talking about. Imagine being that wrong. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
imagine if you put $100 down and you ended up having to pay $500 back because you were so wrong. I mean, if markets work like that, people would be better stewards of their money.
Mm.
But unfortunately for us, they do not. Because, yo, I'm serious. I lost a lot of money because the gravity of how you lose is bad. Don't get me wrong. But the reflexivity of how quickly you can get back up doesn't give you enough time to really think in between sessions, right? It's like going into a fight unprepared and not being ready, getting knocked out, training again, thinking you're ready, not training enough, getting knocked out again. Same thing. Trading is just like that. That's why it's dangerous, because nobody really has the staying power to enter a market and be 100% correct, or even 50% correct, or even
Oh,
30% correct.
Hex saved me from
Hmm.
options trading.
Oh, I still do that. So that's my thing.
Interesting. It's actually, I don't know if you've heard of this person. She's a finance influencer named Rose Han.
No, no,
And
no.
yeah, a friend of mine turned me on to her, and I was watching her
Stocks
channel. She does an options trading class.
for stocks though, right?
Yeah, for stocks.
Yeah, I did futures. That's why different world.
Okay. Yeah.
Carry on though. Go ahead.
So I was looking into that,
Hmm.
and I started learning. I mean, I took the class,
Yeah,
and
sure.
about 85% of the way through the class, Crypto Kool-Aid started yelling at me about how Hex is a thing.
Oh,
And
he
I need
saved
to,
you.
yeah, she sure did, because
Yeah.
I had a good chunk of cash that I was ready to put into this options trading
Oh,
and see what was going to go on with that and play with that a little bit. None of it went into options trading.
of
It all
course.
went straight into Hex. Like,
Thank
and
the Lord.
I'm so grateful. Thank the Kool-Aid. Because,
Yeah, he
oh my gosh,
saved you.
I've seen the people that are in that there was like a Facebook group created for the
Sure.
people that were in that class, and they did not do well. I
Oh,
mean, it's because the market,
that's
they
right.
they couldn't have guessed that the market would have done what it did, and
Exactly.
it was terrible.
That's usually
So
how it works.
yeah, counted every single one of my blessings, because oh my goodness,
Because what
and now
happened?
some of that's staked, and now I'm
Some
just like, okay, cool, man. I just get to sit back and sit and chill.
sure.
I do wish. I mean, that my only like regret, I guess, that I've done with Hex so far was I did a staking ladder, but I should have started it later out, like
Mm-hmm. Long
a
duration,
little
yeah.
bit longer away. Yeah, because I have a couple. I have like one coming out soon, and then I have another one coming out later this year, and I'm just like, I didn't really need to do that. I was excited. I think that's
Ah,
part of it. I think I was just like really
but
stoked, and I
that's
was like,
part of
oh
the
my god.
process. Yes, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because now you know, now you
Hmm.
understand, and now you're gonna hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters. That's ultimately what matters because what's important to realize is that in this game, well, really any game, right? The key is how do you leverage time? Because I
Yeah.
used to trade options. And let me tell you, trading options is how I learned that I'm better at the long game than the short game, even though I'm good at the short game, but not as good as the longer game. But why? Well, it's because when we give ourselves more time to be wrong and correct, we find more room for success. Simple.
Hmm.
The sooner you learn that, the sooner you realize day trading is a recipe for success. Or not success, but failure if you don't know what you're doing. Because what's happening is that every day you can just come on a computer and click buy 20,000 times. Doesn't take any effort.
Hmm.
Doesn't take any effort to do this a million times, right? I've done it, I don't know how many times already since I started saying it. And it's that simple. You can get wrecked that quickly.
Yep.
All it takes is one bad trade. You put all your capital up, one bad
Yes.
trade, that thing goes against you 1%, done. Simple. In my markets, it happens that quickly. Those are
Hmm.
the kind of markets that I trade. So because I understand how dynamic markets are, right? Just like those people in that class found out, because here's what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, well, everybody sees the market's going up, so the market can't go down. So you just got to buy call options and wait and get paid, or sell put options and wait and get paid. But what happened? The complete opposite. And what happened then? Everybody got wrecked
Yep. Bye bye
because
money.
yeah, because everybody's doing the same exact thing. And
Hmm.
that is called short vol. That is called shorting volatility. Why is that? Well, let me break it down. Because people do not understand how markets work in a holistic sense, right? And this is why you see so many people making these gargantuan errors in markets where they're buying the top and whatnot. Like, how do you think that happens? That's not by mistake. That's literally because markets are designed to force you to make that error. They are. There's no doubt about it. I mean, here's one instance. 2008, right? 7, 9, right here, where people thought, just like before, it's going to continue, continue, continue. And it's false. Not how it happened. And it's the same expectation every time. People buy, buy, buy because they expect the market to continue performing. Because over time, that's ultimately what it does. But there comes those points in time where you just happen to be the bad luck Chuck. You bought 32.30 and got washed out at 22.50, 22.30, 100-point loss. Boom, quick. You didn't even see it coming. Yeah, exactly. Right? I mean, this is how trading works,
Yeah.
you
Mm.
know? And look, and this is a 13-day per candle chart. And even if you're operating based on that such a long time frame, are you cutting the chart down? Are you splicing it, making sure that what you're seeing is what makes sense based on the longer term point of view, right? Because here it looks like we're reaching support. Oh, we might be hitting levels to buy, but let me see if what I'm seeing makes sense. So let me slice this down to from 13 to 5 days per bar. Well, it's kind of holding this support area here. Okay, but it kind of flipped the trends on a 5 day basis, so it's looking kind of bearish. We're under the MACD, we're under the mid band of the RSI. So technically, it looks like I should be shorting the hell out of this, right? But let me cut it down further just to make sure. Well, kind of the same scenario. It's kind of hanging on by a thread under MACD, not really positive, you know, price action on the MACD per se, because both lines are under the zero line. So that means bearish trend. Same deal here with the RSI. We're staying below that mid band. And those are the kind of analyses, right, that most people are not willing to do. They'll take 1 day
I
look.
was just
Oh,
gonna say
yeah,
that.
yeah, they're not gonna do all that shit. Of course not.
Yeah.
They're gonna come in and try to
Nope.
look. Be like, all right, looks like we double bottomed here. Buy that bad boy. Done.
Yeah.
Next.
Yep.
Right? Like that's how people act, and that's
It,
unfortunately not markets.
yeah, it kills me too when people like take the hex chart and
Mm.
look at it like really shortly. I'm like, no, no, no. There's a
Oh
longer
man,
history
you
here.
guys are down bad. Oh
Yeah,
my
right.
god. Look at this chart. How dare you shill this shit?
No, no, no.
25, 10,000 X ago. Or
Yeah.
let's even go to see what our current ROI is now from the all time. I got an actual chart that like tracks that now just for fun. 2,000 something X.
And we just got started. We're just getting started.
Not even
So
a
early.
thousand days yet.
So early.
So hold on. 1,000 divided by wait. I'm lying. 2,000. It's really more than 2,000, but whatever. Divided by how many days you got? 870. Let's say 880 days, because we're not even there yet. So the average is 2.27x per day. People do not understand this.
Yep.
Now that's some alpha to fucking chew on right there.
Still going. It's still, I mean, it's been, that's the thing is that I keep holding on to is that it's up and to the right. And we've just been going to the right. We're just,
Well,
we're
here's
just
what you
swimming
need to hold
along.
on to. This is what you need to hold on to.
Ooh, give it to me. Give it to me.
This right here, right?
No
This
t-shirts.
chart is detailing the correlation between the fiat value of HEX versus T shares. Now, the correlations are up here in these colored lines. You got 34 day, 55 day, and 21 day. And then you got the HEX price here in yellow. Now, as we all know, and if you don't, you're about to find out, T shares only do one thing. And that is go. I'm probably going the wrong way. Give me 1 second. Come on. Where are you? Here we go. T shares only do one thing. This is the T share rate. Okay. It only goes up and to the right, no matter what, as you guys are seeing by the evidence in this chart. Right. And the latest reading from this 2 days ago was 21,658 hex per T share. So that means you have to put up that number of hex in order to acquire a single unit of yield, which is 38.05% as of 2 days ago on an annualized basis for that day, if you're staked for the average duration, which is 6.43 years or something like that. So that's how that works. Okay. Now, where does this T-share rate come from in the first place? Good question. So literally the dollar cost of a T-share divided by the dollar cost of 10,000 hex. That's it. Or if you don't even want to do no extra math, you would just take the dollar cost of a T-share and divide it by the price of X. So let's do that based on the values we have here. Let me see, 2883 Okay, 3.39. Oh, come on. 9 divided by, what is it? 0.01312, something like that. 69. All right, let's see what the t-shirt rate is. Am I off? I'm off, man. What is 13, 12, 6? Oh, okay. I know where I'm off. 13, 12, 69. Yeah, okay. So it's 29,965. Now, where does that number come from? Well, that's not the real time value, right? That value you're looking at right there, you're gonna see in a future chart. Oh no, you know what? I don't show those charts anymore. But that's how the t-shirt rate is divided. Right? That's how the t-shirt rate is generated. It's literally the dollar cost of a t-shirt divided by the price of Hex. And that's where you get this value from. Now, this would be the real time t-shirt rate. So if you're buying Hex and staking it at that point in time when those two values exist, well, that in essence is your plain Jane t-shirt rate looking forward, because that's not what the system is saying at that point in time, right? This is what the system is saying. But if you're buying and staking, that's what the market is saying. In essence, the market is placing a premium on this activity of buying and then staking Hex. And a lot of people don't even realize that. And I've
Yep.
explained it, but you know, a lot of people don't want to learn. And these are one of these things, these little inside baseball moments, right? Where if you don't know this, you're just left behind, right? In a major way, because you're not staking, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. You think you got to figure it out, and you're flying blind.
Mm.
I mean, I was fully staked by probably this point in time. Probably around day 420, I was probably fully staked finally, or something like that. Maybe
Day
around there.
420.
Funnily enough, yeah, I know it's odd how life works, right? But look at the cost of a t-shirt at that point in time, right? It's like $120,
Yeah.
$130. It
Yep.
cost nothing. It went all
That's
the way up to
beautiful.
$10,000.
Yep.
I thought I was a genius for a little while, right? And then it came back down, and I, tucked my head back in again and realized I wasn't. But this is how markets work.
hmm
It causes you to act in accordance with what has already happened. You're not looking forward. You must always be looking forward. That's the only way to succeed in markets, right? So then that's one thing. Now, this cryptocurrency thing, it's a whole different animal altogether, because here we are looking at, and on Wall Street, you don't have all these million different metrics to look at. You're looking at the same crap that everybody else looks at. There is nothing fancy about doing any of this in Wall Street. Like, everybody does this, Adama doesn't. It's just a matter of you wanting to do it and wanting to go through the hassle of finding the data and paying for the data and all of that. That's the only difference, right? Here, this is data that anybody can pull and piece together. They don't need whales for that. They just gotta want to do it. Now, when you're looking at T-shares versus Bitcoin and ETH, what you're seeing is up and to the right constantly. Up, right, up, right. Pretty straightforward. This is how T-shares work. And it's evident, right, when you look at this chart. It's just up, right, up, right, up, right, up, right, up. We recently had an up moment, and now we're going to the right until it goes up again. Same deal here, right? It's just versus Ethereum and versus Bitcoin. And we're measuring dollar values here. So at its max peak, Hex, a T-share was worth 3 times what Ethereum was worth, and it was worth 20% of what a Bitcoin was worth at one point in time. I mean, think about this. This was back in September. What was Bitcoin pricing back then? I don't even know. Hold on. I don't remember. September. All right. So, wow. About $40,000, $50,000 damn near. So nothing to laugh at, right? It's quite something. So Hex is up there, right? The value of a T-share was up there. And guess what? It hasn't really fallen off from there. It's just retraced a little bit, right? And this is important to understand because how does something sustain value over time? It's by maintaining a specific pricing structure. And T-shares are designed to do just that. Because guess what you don't have to worry about in this chart? You don't got to worry about support ever being broken.
Mm.
Can't happen. The system is not designed to work that way. Literally not. Yeah. Right? It's one of those things that, I mean, I don't say it because to me it's obvious, but clearly, everybody doesn't see that. But it's so important, it's so crucial to understand that because that's how you can have the utmost confidence, not just in the software. Because even if the software breaks down, which, I don't know how that could happen, the math behind it ultimately can't allow it to because it works. And this is what this chart shows. Plain and simple. Right. And as you move on through the rest of the chart set, that's what you see. Right. Because this is a function of the T shares. This is the shares market cap, 30 billion. At one point, it was probably 80 billion, if I remember correctly. $80 billion total value locked. I mean, when you go look at these other total value locked values, they're not that high and they're not actually locked. So, it's not really TVL. Right. And this is just one way to view it. Here again, hex stock the flow tracker, but important to realize how the yield is paid out, right? 38% is because of the capacity of the system, and it's only at 10% of capacity. So that means if the stakers double, the yield is going to compress to a certain degree because that's how the system is designed to operate.
Gotcha. Yeah, I still can't get my head around. It's only 10% at stake.
Yeah. Well, look, if the Maximus minting
Oh yeah,
hasn't showed you
about that.
anything, there's a lot of liars out there acting like they're stake that are not.
That's right. That's true.
That's all that is. That's a
Where'd
fact.
that money come from?
Exactly. And here's the thing: we're not seeing it in the price chart
Yeah.
because 20 million bucks, we haven't seen that flow. I don't see the
Someone
price
had
moving up
asked
that much.
earlier kind of about like if like when that gets staked or whatever through Maximus, if that'll change anything, but no, because
No.
that hex already existed. Like
Yeah.
that, the only way the price is going to pump is if new hex is purchased.
So what's gonna
Right.
happen when that stake happens? Let me show you. Okay, here we go. What's gonna happen is you're gonna get an increase in T shares relative to the amount of T shares they're able to mint. Now let's look at that. Actually, hold on. While I get this loaded, let me get the rights. Okay. All right. Okay. So we got 210 million hex, totaling 31 million USD at this point in time. Just sitting in there. That was just hiding somewhere because this market has not moved up $31 million worth.
Mm-mm.
And here's the thing. Let's say it has, which we know it has not because we can see the transactions. The selling has clearly been competitive,
Mm.
to say the least, right? So let me see. I think they have the number of T shares. Yeah, 30,000. So that's how much T shares are going to be added to the total balance the day that the stake happens, and that's assuming that they don't have any more maxi, minted or submitted to the hex contract. Well, no, minted because that's the only way they can get increased hex is not by buying and selling. So if we're taking it from a fixed point at this point in time, that would mean 640 something thousand T shares, right? So not much of an impact. Payout is going to basically stay kind of the same. And this is the luxury of staking early and staking long, folks. Because guess what? Whale's been staked since at least Big Payday to some extent. So I've been getting these T-share payouts this whole time. Tick, 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 tick. Just shooting them down every day. 5.5 hex and up. No questions asked. No sweat off my brow unless my computer decided not to work. That was my only risk. Imagine that.
It's a beautiful
Now,
thing.
well, let me ask you, SJ. What do you do professionally that's clearly not game development, if anything?
So I quit that world. I
Right.
left the 9 to 5 many years
Good.
ago. Actually, just talked to Ashley Ash on her
Oh,
stream
well, you
about
know
this.
freaking Kool-Aid, so you must have been in the gaming world. Duh.
You know, a funny thing though, I met Kool-Aid on the dance floor.
Ah, of course. He's a
Yeah,
weirdo.
we met through we met through drum and bass and going out doing that stuff. Yeah, so
Nice.
not game dev related at all.
Nice. How small of a world is that? Well, I mean, you guys all listen to that kind of music anyway, though, so that's not really.
Yeah,
Now that I
that's
think
true.
about it, that's a small world regardless. To a certain
Yeah,
extent. But look, the whole point is you understand software to a certain extent,
yeah, a little bit.
right? And
Yeah.
software development is kind of the topic here, the topic at hand. And when you're developing software, it's not easy. And then once you get to the point where you think it's done, is it really done?
Never.
Exactly.
Never. It's never
But yet
done.
here we are.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so can you kind of impress upon people the seriousness of this? Because it hasn't worked for me. Maybe it can from you. I don't know.
It's serious. For
That
real.
serious.
Get you some T-shares. Get the
Please.
T-shares. Get
Please and fast.
T-shares.
Please
I
and
just
fast.
yes. The sooner you do it, the better. Because you see that chart that he just showed you, that whole T-share rate thing up and to the right, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop
Oh,
going up and to the right. So the longer you wait to stake your hex, the more you're missing out on the money printer that goes brrr.
that's it. That's it.
Don't
Now
don't miss
check
out on
this
the
out.
money printer.
Check this out. Think of that pink line that you're viewing on, or the yellow line that you're viewing on your screen right now. Or actually the pink line, which is the payout per t-shirt, the magenta line. Think of it as your paycheck. That line is marking your paycheck daily. Now, what do you not see happening on this line? What you do not see is any downward volatility, meaning you only get paid more, never less over time from the base rate of the average payout. Now, that's just step one to understanding what's going on here, right? Because we were talking about T-shares a while ago and why and how they work and all this thing and why this chart is the most important chart out of all the charts that I have. Now, this chart is the most important chart because it highlights that we know T-shares always go up and to the right. We know T-shares always pay you. We know T-shares always do what they're supposed to do. We discussed this ad nauseum to the point that I even went to discuss how the internet works. That's right.
Yes.
So that's all to say. We have a obvious correlation of one, no matter the duration, 21 day, 34 day, 55 days of the correlation between the dollar value of HEX and the dollar value of a T-share. Now, what you see on this chart here is just a price action for HEX. But these lines are detailing the correlation between T-shares and HEX. And as you guys can see, the correlation is 1-to-1, meaning they move in tandem and not against each other, and not in their own respective right either. And that's important because that means we can rest assured it's only a matter of time before we see another 200x plus rip, because that's how the system is designed to work.
Yes.
That's
And
right.
I want to say something to that point real quick that you're telling me to tell people how serious this is. And correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, pretty much anyone who purchased Hex in the early days, right? Like let's say pre a penny. If if you did that and you staked, that's right.
How's the
You
good
did
way?
it on purpose.
Ah, you stupid.
Oh, cute. But let's just say, right? Like you bought pre penny Hex.
All right.
If Hex, even if Hex went down to like 5 cents, just if that ever happened, you all would still be like forever getting this paycheck because the T shares, because of the shares. So every right. So for anyone that bought at that point, right? So for us, right? So people who like myself, I bought in right around Pulse Chain SAC, right before the SAC.
Gotcha.
So for me, basically, like, you know, this is like worst case scenario, y'all. If like for example, for Kool-Aid, right? Like in theory, like he would never really have to ever work again because the shares are it's just gonna keep going. Like unless Hex went to zero, which is not gonna happen, right? Like y'all are still getting the returns and the shares are coming in. So like let's say Hex goes to 60 cents, right? I'd be sitting pretty, and if Hex stayed at 60 cents for the rest of my life, I'd still be fine. Like I'd be am I wrong in that train of thought at all?
No,
Or
you're
like
not. In fact,
that's how it works.
let's do some
Yeah.
math to highlight it because you know how that goes. It's my specialty, as they say. So what happens? Let's say you got 100,000 X, and of course that's a lot of Hex.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you stake that Hex for 300, 10 years. So 363,640 days. Now let's say all you get is 60 cent. All right, let's say what it is right now. Right now it's 15 cent. So let's see what happens if at 15 cent, 100,000 Hex, 15 G's basically right now. You end up making 3 extra bags. So you come out with 300,000 Hex on the other side to a certain extent, right? Give or take some penalties, you're going to probably get 3,000 Hex. But what happens is, monetarily speaking, your bag 4X's, 5X's, right? In between that, because 15 times 4 is 60, so 45, right? In between 45 and 60 is where you're going. So in between 3 to 4X, you're making your money here, right? Here we go, 360. So there you go. Now, this is at 15 cents. Nothing's changed.
Nothing changed.
10 years, you know you're going to come back with at least 60 G's, 70 G's. All you put up was 15.
And I had money sitting in a high yield savings account.
You weren't making that, guaranteed.
No.
No, you weren't going to X your money in a
No.
high yield savings account. You were going to make some scraps.
And with interest, nothing. You make nothing.
That's what I meant by scraps, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens at 60 cents? Well, at 60 cents, all these metrics stay the same, of course. But what happens is the end result changes. So your capital increased 4x, 60K. And then your yield, what happened? Well, it 4x as well. You went from 53K in yield to what? 213K, 214K in yield. And then your net P&L shot up from 68.9K or something to $274,000. Now this is just 60 cents.
Yeah. Oh, so nice.
It almost makes you want to go to sleep because it's that nice. It's like, wow, not a
Right.
worry not a worry
Wake
in
me
the
up.
world. You feel like a feather, right?
I mean, the difference between doing that options trading class and then staking Hex, I was just like
night and day.
totally like I felt like I would have been so stressed out, and I would have been like looking at all these charts and trying to figure this shit out and trying to draw these lines and like, how the fuck does this work?
That's it.
Hex, stake and chill, motherfuckers. Oh,
That's it.
it's so
That's
good.
it. People can't appreciate that, right? And that's the thing. It's like, unless you're out here ready to risk it for the biscuit, you're not gonna have that ability to grasp that that risk that you're putting yourself in, right? Like you're walking on a high wire this whole time. And this whole time, as you're walking on this high wire, I mean, you're walking, you're walking, you're walking, you're walking, you're walking. And while you're staying on the high wire, what's actually happening is that all those trades you're making, you're losing your focus and you're losing your money. And you're just bleeding and bleeding and bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. And ultimately, you just run die. And that's when you fall off the high wire and you're done.
Yep.
End of your trading experience.
Toast. I would have been so just like over it. Many people
Hmm.
are. I mean, like that's I feel like I've heard that story, where people got wrecked in crypto or in the stock market, either way,
Right.
trading. That's just it's that mentality that they need to get away from, which Hex allows.
Yes. Yes. Because what happens? Well, Hex removes this need to have to want to search for yield elsewhere or capital appreciation elsewhere because the yield you're getting is so ridiculous,
Yes.
right? Like if you
Yep.
stay like okay, so it gets a little more non-straightforward, right, from that perspective, because what's happening is that you have to realize why staking matters, right? And I mean, I've
Mm.
done multiple streams on this, but the net of it is that you're removing the downside risk from ever being possible in your P&L. Now, how is that? If you're still being relegated to the price fluctuations, right, of a
Right.
stock,
Volatility.
or I'm
Yeah.
sorry, of a cryptocurrency,
Right. Which
right,
is more volatile than
which is
stocks.
more volatile, right?
Hmm.
So what is actually happening, right? Like that's the question. Well, how can you say there's less risk? Well, it's simple. Ultimately, you have to calculate what it is you want from your endeavors when it comes to markets. Do you want to win in the long run, or do you want to win right now?
Right.
I had to make that decision. You got to make the decision. Everybody has to make that decision, right? I wanted to make the long term correct decision, that at least what I thought was a long term correct decision in my mind. That's what I wanted to do.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what I was looking for because
Yeah,
I at the
we all
time I
are.
had just sold my home and I was like, all right, I'm going to pay off all my debt and then I'm going to be smart about where my money is going.
There you
And
go.
I wanted to make sure that I was set up for the future, and it fucking, putting some of that in a high yield savings account and then some in a Roth IRA and then putting some in options trading. Where was that going to get me? What was that going to get me?
Mm, nowhere fast.
Nothing.
Nowhere fast, unfortunately.
Mm-mm. Saved by the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. I mean, being adults and all this now, like we know the severity of that, right? That would have been a fine line
Mhm.
between your future being what it's gonna be and it not being anything.
Yep.
I mean, that's a fine, fine line. And oof, just wow. Like, damn. Yeah, you were definitely saved. Man.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And the timing, I hear this over and over again in in these streams and these channels, people talking about the serendipity of the timing of things that happened
Yes.
and the way that they got into Hex. And I think that's beautiful too. It is amazing to me that I am in this world where my brain is stimulated because of all the technical talk, and I'm into growth, and that's why I love sci-fi, because it makes my brain expand, and I love learning. And then I also get to be all kind of like woo woo and like be all up into that world because hexagons are the bestagons. Like you
Hmm.
find them in nature everywhere, and that's badass and beautiful. And
Whether
then
you want to
hearing,
or not.
yeah, and hearing over and over again the stories of people coming together in this space and how people found Richard or how people found Hex and how it's already saved them from shit. Like this is just wonderful. I just love
Hmm.
it. I'm just so glad
It's,
to be here.
it's almost hard not to, right? And the funny thing is like nobody takes himself too seriously, but they take it seriously. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like there's a fine balance that a lot of us seem to just gravitate towards because we have fun, but we also know how to discuss real world shit.
Yep.
You know, you can't just ignore it, right? So those are the kinds of things that you really got to keep in mind as you go through this journey that's life, because we're given an opportunity that
Mm-hmm.
nobody before us had. So we got to make sure that we do the right thing and that we don't play ourselves.
Yep.
Because if we do, well, nothing happens, nothing changes. Same story, different day. That's literally all that happens. So, you know, what's the benefit to us from that perspective? Not much of one. You know, some people will be well off, but what about your kids? Are they really going to be well off? Odds are no. You know, I mean, there's a whole lot that needs to be accounted for, needs to be addressed. You know, a whole lot that needs to change. In the last 2 years, just can't happen again. You know, like that was just crazy, right? Like, how do we
It's
fix that?
nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think
how do you?
it accelerated some things
Hmm.
in terms of, like, for me personally, I think many people felt this, but like relationships that maybe I didn't really need in my life, you
Yeah,
know,
I'm
or
sure you
like
got rid of
people
them
that,
all.
yeah, like we weren't really on the same level. That just made everything so much clearer. You're just
Hmm.
like, oh, I see. Bye. Like, I get it
Yeah.
now.
Hmm.
Like, just gonna keep on keeping on. Like, oh, what's that? Like, you're not going outside still? Okay.
Right.
Bye.
Talk to you never again.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah,
can't
man, I
interact with
can't.
people that, yeah, it's bad.
Mm-mm.
Like, that's just, I mean, how can you even communicate with somebody that's what they think is sensible?
It's
They have,
nonsensical.
yeah, clearly they have no
Nonsensical
capacity
nonsense.
for analysis in any which way, shape, or form.
Mm-mm. Yep. And it's like
Right? And
all these things that I, like, 5 years ago, maybe longer than that, like conspiracy. Wait, can I not say these things on the channel? Theories. These
oh, you
these
can say conspiracy
theories.
theorists. You can say
Okay,
that.
good.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't. I
easy to say.
don't. I don't
Yeah,
know
you're good.
what the X
You
words are yet.
you can't say the U word. That one you can definitely not say.
Okay.
Hmm.
But yeah, you know, and they were all I remember just bullshitting with some friends, and we're just talking about how, you know, God, wouldn't it be crazy if this happened and this, and it's happened, and it happened. It all happened, and it's happening, and it's like, oh my God, we were right the
That's
whole
it.
damn time. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's cool. Call me crazy. Keep calling me crazy, because
Look, I remember last summer 2020 or summer of 2020 when all this BS was going on, and I had to interact with my family to some degree still, at least the ones that still live here. And you know, I still get along with them or whatever, but you know, it came to my attention that these clowns were actually saying that they thought I was crazy. Like me of all people. Me. But here's the thing, you know, I'm the family black sheep at the same time. So of
mm-hmm.
course I'm gonna be the crazy one. Yeah,
So
naturally,
just a bunch of
naturally,
black sheeps.
naturally, yes.
Yeah.
Um, so what happens? You know, I'm explaining all these things that these folks should know, but do not. Now, why is that? Because they have no interest in educating themselves in reality.
Yeah.
You know, they just listen to whatever they're told and they keep it moving. You know, that's not a recipe for success. Period.
No. Mm-mm. I
So
rem-
you know,
yeah, I remember listening to something a while ago that, like, really struck me about who are you listening to? Like, do you trust who you're listening to? Do you know who you're listening to? Do you really know who you're listening to? There's this reel that Russell Brand plays every now and then on his stream, of it's like it's all these clips
yeah,
of every single time it says sponsored by Pfizer. This show sponsored by Pfizer. CNN sponsored by
got you.
Pfizer. You know, I'm just like,
Hmm.
so who are you listening to?
Right.
Is it
It just
CNN? Is
goes
it
to
Pfizer?
show, yeah, like who's your source of information?
Mm-hmm.
Is it that person that's giving it to you in reality, or is it somebody behind that person,
Puppet.
or is it
Mr.
somebody even
Puppet.
behind that second layer,
Mm-hmm.
which there usually is?
I just saw some kind of infographic where it was like a puppet, like
Yes.
there were like multiple layers of puppetry, and I was like, oh, that's. That's
Yeah.
pretty accurate.
Mm-hmm. But that's how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they take all these entities and they structure them in such a way that you got to dig deep because they're
Yep.
just tying all these different all these different legal structures together, and you can't see through that. It's just something operating in the physical realm, but yet on paper it's this whole other thing, and you're completely oblivious to it, right? And we were talking about the Hegelian dialectic earlier. You know, uh, problem, reaction, solution. This is how these corporations operate.
Mm.
We've just seen it in real time, and we've been seeing the defense industry do it for decades on using the U.S. military as a front. This is
Yep.
what happens. I've been a victim myself. This is what happens in real time, in our lifetime. This is not some shit that happened 50 fucking years ago.
No,
I just went through this. In fact, kids are still going through it today.
I was just gonna say that there, and the crazy thing to me is that there's information that shows that this shit is happening, and it's still happening. It's happening right now, but nobody's like linking the two. Like,
Is that it can happen because it's not yet quote unquote illegal for it to
mm,
happen. So what happens? How do they get away with these things? Well, they know that once they have access, they can just do what they want because the system has to play out and catch up to their conspiracy, because this is all a conspiracy. If you don't know what a conspiracy is, well, let's help you out. A lot of people don't actually know. What does this word mean? As you guys know, I like the real definition, not the shit that Google wants to give me. Mid-century. And this is the exact definition of the word.
ooh,
A plotting of evil, unlawful, key term here, unlawful design, not illegal. Okay, this is some alpha for you. Look it up. Not illegal, but unlawful. Now, what's the difference between law and legality? Right? That's important for you as an adult to understand because we just went through 2 years of motherfuckers not understanding the difference. Literally, and we're still going through it because you still got clowns out here wearing face diapers, not realizing that they're being killed slowly. Whether they want to realize it or not is irrelevant.
accurate.
But that's what's happening.
Yeah,
So,
I can't wrap my head around it. And especially people outdoors
oh my
alone.
God. I can't remember the first time I saw somebody at a park with a freaking face mask on. I was like, what in the hell is the purpose of
Outside.
that? Like, do you not know how this works? Clearly not.
Mm-mm.
Man.
No, and again, I watch a lot of Russell Brand, but he also just showed a clip of Fauci from years ago
Oh.
talking about how natural immunity is the best.
Mm-hmm.
Many
I've
years
seen it.
ago.
Yep. I've
Yeah,
seen that clip. Yep.
yeah. It was like,
Like, oh, it's out here. I don't even have to look. Great.
yeah. It
And
blows
it's
my
like
mind.
it doesn't exist. That's how people act.
Yeah, my poor father, he had COVID. He went through all of it. He was in the hospitalized and everything. Thank goodness he's good. He has some of the whatever they call long-term symptoms or whatever, but his fucking place of employment, he's submitted a religious exemption, and which I mean, in his religion, like, it's all legit. Like, he was my father, his background was he was a police officer and then but was a detective for many years, and
Hmm.
so he's got a big history with like law and things like that, and he wrote a fucking 40-page document telling them about how he shouldn't have to do this bullshit, and they
Obviously.
denied it,
Of
and
course.
and now he's appealing it, and this man is like, he should have retired years ago. I love my dad. He's gonna work forever, hopefully not, but basically, he might, at this point, he might be forced into retirement
Right.
because they're not going to allow him to work, and then in the period where they're deciding whether or not they're going to do the appeal, like,
Hmm.
he's not allowed to go to work and he can't use sick time or vacation time or some bullshit like that. It's just like just the most fucked up
Yeah,
shit, you know.
anything to screw you over, really.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and you know, and it breaks my heart for people that are his age, and you know, a
going
lot of
through
people
this.
who have been in a position for years and have been what's the word, loyal to
Yeah, and
their
they just getting
employer.
rug pulled, and they just getting rug pulled like it's
It's
nothing.
insane. It's tragic. It's yeah. That's why I'm so. And luckily, my dad isn't. He's a staked Texican. That man.
Good. And again,
So
100% uptime. Don't gotta worry
yeah.
about government intervention. Don't gotta worry
No.
about capital controls. Don't gotta worry about some random fuckface telling you that you can no longer work just because
Because you're unwilling to do something to your body that
they want you to do. That's wholly
is ridiculous.
unrighteous.
Yeah.
Unrighteous. Never mind unconstitutional. It's unrighteous. It's inhumane. It's not what we're here for. So they can go suck one.
That's right.
Period. I mean, I find it kind of sad that so many people have allowed themselves to be duped
Mm-hmm.
into this mess, right?
Yep.
And all of a sudden, you got people and athletes dropping dead left and right.
I have a cousin who they decided to go into the adoption process,
Uh-oh.
and in order to adopt their fucking
You
baby,
gotta be on the deathbed.
yes, you have to get the shot.
Yep.
So she did it just because they so much desire to have a child
Wow.
that they were just they weren't going to. I mean, that wasn't something on their list of to-dos, but because of this
They
agency
let
and
the
because
system
of,
get them.
I was just like, man, like that breaks my heart because now what if that has now affected your health in so much that now you can't, what if something happens and then you cannot be there for your child because of
Yep.
this shot?
And that's what people don't understand.
Yeah.
And look, if you live in America and you've been affected by this in any which way in which it's unlawful, not illegal, but unlawful, you
Mm-hmm.
have a leg to stand on. You need to go do your homework and defend yourself because that is how America works. Otherwise, you're just letting somebody get away with it. Saying I had literally went through a similar situation at work a month and a half ago to the point where I thought I didn't even go to Vegas because I thought, well, I had to stay near home. I couldn't even be away from the office more than 24 hours. That's why I wasn't in Vegas. Yeah.
Like according to the company that employs you, basically, like
Yes. They have
because
me
of
on a
work.
24-hour radius leash. Yes. That's right.
What? That's outrageous.
But that's how it works. And I work in a big bank, so it's not like I can just be like, "Fuck you," right? I'm subservient to the system.
Soon. When's your fuck you day, Wales? When do you get to do
I
that?
don't know, man. I'm working on so many different things right now that hopefully
Yeah.
soon, right?
Yeah. For
People think
sure.
I'm rich, but I'm not. But we'll get there. Because look,
Yeah.
we own something that has 100% uptime.
Yep.
It's invaluable software. What do you think happens when the rest of the world finds out that T shares have 100% uptime and only go up and to the right, and that the hex price is correlated 1-to-1? B, it's not correlated to any other crypto. It's not correlated to ETH. That's what you can see here. Not correlated to Bitcoin, as you can see here. And C, it just pays you. This is since inception. Payout per T-share average. So for those that didn't know, the payout per T-share at one point was below 1 hex per T-share. Going all the way back to the early days. It was less than 1 hex per T-share. Important to understand that, right? As we start through this new post-chain business and launching a whole, new network and all of that, right? As what's going to happen? Well, at the beginning, you're not going to get a lot of pulse if you delegate your stake, right? The rewards aren't going to be a lot because there's not going to be a lot of activity on the network. But over time, what happens? Network effect takes hold. People start using the protocol. The capacity of the system starts getting used. The network starts growing. Daily payout starts growing, etc. T-shirts start getting made. Yada yada. Blah blah blah. Right? And all this math goes into this becoming a reality because it's designed to operate on a bonding curve structure. Right? The code for Hex. That's how it's designed to work. So the more T-shares get used, right, the more they exist, the more people use them, the more they are enticed, right, to try to attain that unit of yield. And as we saw, right, it's getting harder because even with a big payday stake of the gargantuan size that Maximus is about to lay down, they're only picking up 30,000 T-shares. They're not even moving this to 10,700 trillion shares. That's important to understand. For real. Because the longer you hold on, the more valuable T-shares are going to be. The more people are going to try to chase T-shares, the less there's going to actually be in the pool, the more payout we're going to actually receive over time as a function of that. Because there's going to be more entities chasing smaller amounts of shares.
Yeah, B shares,
And then
shares.
K then, or oh well, M then, B M K C, yeah, right, yeah,
What's the C stand for? I was like, I can
100,
think of it.
100. Sorry, I'm thinking like century, centennial.
So, yeah, no, that's what I was like, wait,
Yeah,
C, send,
yeah.
send, send something. Yeah,
Sorry, yeah, yeah.
send to
So it's
shares.
kind of crazy. What's going on, Crypto Stylist? Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. But it's understanding on all these factors, right? Over time, the longer you stake, the more you're gonna earn because there's gonna be less entrance in the pool, right? Even if there's more entrants, they're not gonna impact the pool that much because they can't afford that much anymore. It's 21,000 per t-shirt. Like they missed the cheap t-shirt rate boat, so they gotta pay up now. So it's a matter of them finding a cheap price if they can. And given how t-shirts work, it's kind of a tough proposition, right? And we've seen the result of that already in many ways, right? And it's important people understand that because we just went through another long period of sideways price action, right? Now,
Is it the longest now? Like, has this been
no,
the longest sideways?
nope, nope, not
Okay,
even close, not even close.
really?
Yeah.
I thought we had surpassed that because I know that there was another big long sideways trend.
So the way people were defining it a while ago, they were saying 294 days,
Hmm.
right? But what I realized is that, oh well, they just meant 294 days, like to big payday low, and then all this other nonsense. Like it wasn't really clear. So it ended up being that it's really 163 days from old high to new high. Because when you come to realize something about Hex, which a lot of people really like to dismiss, is that even when it goes sideways, it's really going to the up to the right because you're
Yep.
making new highs as time passes, even though you're going sideways. So all this time where price was kind of doing nothing, people felt like it wasn't doing anything. But look, what's the trend? This is the trend,
Yeah.
actually. So it didn't actually go sideways for 294 days. That's actually incorrect. It actually only went sideways for 163 days until it made a new high and then came back, bust through it. But that's a fact. Then it came back, some sideways action again for what, 30 days, 40 days, and then we made a new high, crashed again, and then didn't make a new high for 45, 50 days, 60 days, whatever it ended up being, right? From beginning of January to, oh, I'm sorry. So we went December, end of December to April, and then from April to basically early May, so 3 weeks, right? So you went all that time, like the market was just cycling and cycling and cycling sideways and up, 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 until it just busted out, right? So how long we've been going sideways without a new high? That's what I've been using to define it. So this time, we're definitely way longer than this point in time. So from that definition, yes, we have
Hmm.
far surpassed the previous point in time. But just pure sideways action, nah, because the way people view it, all this was sideways to a certain extent. Like they'll take this and be like, yeah, we didn't really do nothing for, because this is how people were defining it, 294 days. You see that? So they were kind of trying to say that all this was the same high, but that's not true.
Gotcha.
Just because the market didn't break out to where they wanted it to, type of thing, is what they're trying to say. But that's not accurate. We didn't make a new high for 163 days, and that's it. then we made new highs again, and then we didn't for a while, and then we did again, and that's all, right? So from this point in time, once you slice it sideways again, it's from September 19th, whatever, to now. We haven't made a new high, so that's 200 plus 19 days, 220 days, and we only did 163 last time, so we're 60 days up versus the last cycle, right? So maybe it taps out at 90 days, maybe it taps out at 55 days, above it, right? I'm just guesstimating here.
Right.
Now we're already past that. Maybe it taps out specifically at 89 days, which is a Fibonacci number. I like Fibonacci. That's how I think of everything, and I think of things in Fibonacci terms. So that's how I view it. Maybe it keeps going sideways to day 233, which is a Fibonacci number, and then we start ramping from there. Like, who knows what the system is
Yeah.
gonna do? Because it's log base, and once the staking is done, game over, right? And that's why it's important to understand all these things that we're talking about. Because look, it's never not been on. There's no off time here, no gaps in this chart. Total value lock. We were talking about this earlier in the form of shares. This is just the dollar value of a staked HEX, right? And that's all it's counting for. It's not accounting for the yield or anything like that. That's what the shares account for. So at one point in time, we were up probably 25 billion or so, if I remember correctly. Total value lock. Now we're like 8.5, if I remember correctly, something like that. But we're just a hop, skip, and a jump from breaching that, right? And at 25 billion, I think we were at 50 cents actually. So there's your relation, almost 2-to-1 to some extent. Total value locked per staker, we went all the way up to 524,288 in total value locked. Now this chart's important. I don't know if you've seen me talk about this chart before. But this chart is one of the crispest charts that highlights Hex's log base 2 performance. Now, how so? Let's take a look here. Power values of 2. Guys can tell I looked this up a lot. Okay, so what we have here is the equation basically that yields the format of this value, right? And that's 2 to the n, right? So how do we know this is log base 2? Well, logarithms are giving you the n of that base, which is 2 in this case. If we were doing 3 to the n, then we would be doing log base 3. If we were doing 4 to the n, log base 4, and so on and so forth. That's simply how it works, okay? So because I'm looking at the table values of 2 to the n, that's what our focus is, log base 2, which is the fastest logarithm. It measures the fastest rate of increase, which is doubles, right? You're looking at how fast something goes up is a function of how fast it doubles, because replicating something in values of 2 is essentially, take a penny and make it grow. You got 2 pennies, right? And you got 4 pennies, and you got 8, then you got 16, right? Then all of a sudden you got $1.28, and you just started with 1 penny, and all it took you was 7 flips, right? So that's the game here that we're thinking about when we're looking at log base 2. Now, I'm going to go in between the chart and in between the margin for the hex chart. Okay, so we're starting here, total value lock per staker at $256, right? That's a 2 to the n value, power 2. That brings us at n equals 8. Simple enough. What happens? Well, if you pay attention to this scaling, you'll notice that the scaling is log base 2. Now, that's not the thing, because that doesn't mean anything, because price doesn't have to stop there. Price could just fly through it. But the interesting thing is as you look at price throughout history, you'll notice 256, stop there. 512, stop there. 1024, hang around there. It stopped at 512 again, came up there, 4096, stayed down there, 2048. So what's the pattern I'm talking about? Well, the pattern is that price finds a log base 2 value to use as a crutch for either support or resistance. And this allows us to see what Hex could do because this was at 50 cents and it basically went to 52 cents, interestingly enough. If you look at the V2 at the time, what you end up seeing is, come on, here we go, 51.31 cents on V2 Uniswap. Okay, that's the price we're getting. Now, what are we seeing here? 52.4288. Coincidence? I personally do not believe in them, so I say no. That was the high. Where are we now? Well, we're about 15 cents, but interestingly enough, we're not at 150. So what does that mean? Well, what that means potentially is that we're probably undervalued because this was taken a couple days ago when the price was.
Probably.
Well, we are.
Probably.
We are. It's just that's how we talk, right? In markets,
Yeah.
we talk in non-absolute, ways. Um, so because we're sub the actual value that the market is trading at, right? This was 2 days ago. 2 days ago was the 26, and the price was 13,126,852. So 13.12 cents. Okay. But where was this? It was way below that because we see that we're at 131. That would be the equivalent if the numbers are really 1 to 1, right? In terms of value versus the total value log versus. So is it that we have less stakers in the system or more stakers in the system? Well, we got more stakers in the system, and we have evidence of that. People are holding, people that don't want to stay in the system are exiting. This orange line is current versus total holders. The gray line is current stakers versus total stakers. So people are continuing to stake after they stake one time. Stakers versus holders. Well, people are leaving, so the staker count is increasing, meaning the weak hands are exiting the system.
Bye. Take your paper flappy things and just go.
That's right. We
Bye.
don't want your lettuce hands here.
No. Nope.
Right? We don't want it because what we just did now is strengthen the system.
Yep.
This is a form of strengthening the system, right? Because now what we're saying is 30% of us are holding the line strong, going nowhere anytime soon to a certain extent, right?
Yep.
Now, current holders continues to increase, but look, we're also below this relative scaling, right? Because the scaling is relative, but yet it lines up. And this whole time we spent under the holder count was just an opportunity to pick up Hex. Because look at what it did. Gone from 1.5 cents to 50. Same thing is happening now. Are you going to sleep on it? I'm not. I like math, and math always makes sense to me, just like this chart. And here we go again. The last time, now this to me in my mind tells me we're going to have such a huge pump, we're not going to even know what to make of it. Because what's happening? Well, the first time this was the little gap we had in staker versus people that are actually in the system, right? Versus the price. Look at the scale now, even a bigger gap. And price after it left, it didn't come back down under this value, under this line for a long time. And again, these are relative scalings. So they're happening together in real time. So they grow together, they get small together, everything happens together.
Yep.
So if all these people are exiting the system, who the hell are all these stakers? Because look what's happened. We've just shot up 20,000, really 30,000 stakers, 33% increase in the size of the staker base since the top. I mean, this is crazy. I've never even said this, but this is what's going on. Clearly, when we went from 60,000 current stakers to 90,000 plus current stakers. This is phenomenal. I had never even.
Wow.
This is crazy. I mean, actually, I'm sorry. That's a 50% increase because you went 30,000 on 60,000. So that's a 50% increase in the staker base during a dip. Now that's fucking bullish. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think I've heard you say this before, but then we just kind of forget sometimes about Pulse Chain.
Oh, the copy. Jesus.
The
And all
copy.
that. Yeah.
And then there's the copy.
Yeah, it's
Ah.
all these. I mean, and I think that's a function of how spoiled we are as a community, right? We got the best software out there going. And it's easy to just be lackadaisical because you have no incentive to keep hunting as much. You're home, so to speak, right? You found your home. And that's kind of how a lot of us feel with Hex. That's why we don't find any interest in outside things because we know this works. We don't have any reason to really look any elsewhere because we have to find out, learn, does it even really work? Is a final question. Like that's the last question of all of this analysis that we do when it comes to crypto, right? You got to learn what the protocol does. Does it even make sense? Blah, blah, blah. All this BS. Does the game theory work? Does the tokenomics work? Is the dev team legit? Blah, 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 blah. All these million different things. To then finally ask, does this crap even work? That's cryptocurrency analysis in a nutshell, folks. Who wants to deal with that when you already got? I mean, imagine it's like having your best rifle. You're not gonna want to give that up for anything, and people don't understand that. You know, we go to war. This is financial war for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it is. This is war,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep.
And if you don't have the best weapon on the battlefield, you're not gonna make it home. Promise you that. You're not. And this is exactly what this is.
Yep.
This is it. So, you know, this is why all this data I like to highlight it because this is what's important. Now look at this. Here we have at the beginning of Big Payday, what we had was the circulating supply per current holder was at 2.85 million hex per staker. Now we got sub 2 million. Now, what does that equate to in percentage terms? A 43% displacement in supply, meaning there's that much less hex to go around per person in the pool that currently exists, because that's the kind of change we've seen in the size of this community, right? And I don't think people appreciate that enough because it's all happened during a dip, right? When this dip started happening is when all this hex started disappearing, interestingly enough. So that means we started growing at that specific point in time. People started entering. Now, what they're going to come to experience is what a lot of us did. Because let me tell you, when I bought into Hex, it was back here. So it was just like, you know, all the people that bought in and topped out now. I was buying into the top from half a cent to like 1.3 cents or whatever it was back then. And guess what? I ate it all the way back down too, all the way Big Payday. And I bought sizable chunks that day because I finally have figured out what was going on. Luckily for me. So, you know, I was able to buy on the big payday dip, and you know that the rest is history, and I kept buying after that. But just like you guys are seeing this dip now, this is an opportunity if you understand that this is just software, this is not anything else. You know, once you can wrap your head around that very unique aspect of cryptocurrency, you will find success in this space because that's what's required. Simple. So here we have the staked hex per staker. You know, back in the day, it was easy enough to find so much hex that you can easily snatch up 2.5 million. Right? If you were going to stake.
Oh,
Now,
those days.
yeah, now,
I wish I would have known.
well, yeah, you and me both, because I don't have that much. But nowadays, what you're left with is maybe 600,000 hex per staker, current staker in circulation. That's staked hex, right? Staked hex per staker. So that means that as the market progresses through time, what we're finding is that there's less hex that's being staked to a certain extent, or or there's that many new stakers entering into the system that there's that much less hex that's staked because that's all that they can afford because the value is that much higher, right? And here's the thing, you can cut it either way because we don't really know unless we slice it all down per person, per entity, and can actually ask them, like, hey, is this why you did that? Is that why you did that? We don't really know. We can only hypothesize and then just pick what we think makes the best sense. Somebody will go with, oh, that's just because Hex is much more expensive now. Some person will go with, oh, well, that's just because, um, you know, all the big guys are getting out, buying up all the Hex and restaking it. So that there's that much less Hex to go around for the little guy. Or it's a T-share rate. You require that much more Hex to be staked to get a T-shirt, which people cannot afford. I'm going to go with the latter, but somebody else is going to go with the former too, either of those. But long story short, this all happened during a dip. I mean, all this acceleration of the disappearance of supply in all capacities, shapes, and forms, whatever you want to call it, all happened during this dip. Look at this. This is the payout in hex terms per staker. It started dropping when? At the top. And look at where we are now. I mean, at the top, we were above 1,000. Now we're way below it. Looks like we're probably at about 600 something or so in terms of payout in hex per staker. So that again is a function of value increase, ability to attain it. Is just a measure of all these things. The kind of players that are entering the market. I mean, what happens when these 30,000 T-shares come into the fold? Is there that much less in payout per hex staker because now we're accounting for a 30,000 size individual? Maybe not, right? Because 30,000 isn't that big of a chunk out of 10.6 million. Something to think about, right? Even if you only have 100 T shares, that's still 100. They only got 30,000, but that's a lot of hex that they got compared to the amount of hex you got. Like after my copy, all that hex, it's really like only a fraction. It's I got like a percentage of that, not less than 1%. So that just goes, and I just only been around for over a year after the copy, right? So all that hex is gonna become double.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. But that's the kind of math that people got to think about, right? Like we got all this hex sitting here that was just put up into this contract to get staked, which is going to create 30,000 T-shares. Now, we know people with 30,000 T-shares that have been around long enough to have 30,000 T-shares. That's right.
Crazy.
People.
So crazy.
Individuals.
It blows my mind.
And it took 200 and whatever million hex to even get close to that number. Now, this is the delta in value accrue, in the accruance of value from start to finish. And this is what I'll tell people in regards to delegating the stake to PLS. You have to understand what's about to happen. We're about to create a whole new network world over there. So be sure to delegate your delegate your pulse chain, right? Support the validators, the good ones anyway. Understand that at the beginning is going to be just like the T-shirt payout, right? You're not going to get a lot, but you're going to get something. But you got to be in the game in order to get those licks. I mean, this is the all-time average, right? But this is the daily average. You got 28 days in orange and 55 days in magenta, right? And what you're seeing is the change in the T-share payout over time with respect to those daily counts, right? So it's like an average basically per those days. But it is an average of those days. But what you're seeing is that price is holding it here. Coincidence? I think not. Because look, it's been hanging here the whole time. It's never dropped below that price. Never. So who's to say that that is the culprit? Might be something to keep looking forward to in the future, right? Because look, what happened? We got capped out here at first, then we eventually busted out, but it was a hard time for us to get through this value. It was a hard. This was when we was in Vegas. It took us a little while to get through that 6 cent mark, but we ultimately got through it. But then all of a sudden, we just shot up to 50 cents. But during that whole time, the payout was consistent, right? So it's all these factors that's going on in the background, right? That play into how Hex works and how the price moves and all these things. Because look, this is the chart that gives you everything. You got the inflation that's being minted. You got the inflation that is being deferred. And this is what the system is supposed to be doing, 3.69%, which it doesn't do. And this is why the price flies so much. You're only really minting. This is the first full year after big payday of actual inflation. Not 3.69, but 1.73%. So 46% is actually being minted. 53% is being deferred. Now, if you look at how it progressed over time, this is me never stopping the clock and continuing it. We're at approximately 400 plus days now, and we're still not even close, right? We're probably at like 2 and change. I forgot to mark the values here, but given that we're at 1.5, 3.69, yeah, we're probably like 1.56. Yeah, we're probably like 3737. So probably like 210 or something like that. Just to comprise that 0.7 on the back of that 0.56, because this is 1.56, so it would have to be 2.13 or something like that over here. But the point is, you guys see the clock is still ticking on this inflation metric, and we still haven't reached 100% of the systemic inflation, even after being in the system 400 plus days. So this is, again, a sign of the strength of Hex and how it works and why the price flies like it does. Simple. T-shirt rate increases. I mean, all these things that are charts that you guys should be looking at, trying to understand, making sure you realize how the system works, because that is the key to really sticking it out for the long term with confidence, because that is the hard part. Having the confidence. I mean, 100% uptime, non-existent. So we can leave it there because we can keep talking about this forever. But
Accurate.
Yeah. I mean, this is just, nonstop 100% operational software. Hard to not talk about it for hours on end because it doesn't exist. Yeah. I mean, this is stuff that I didn't think was going to exist in my lifetime. I don't think people understand the profoundness of that statement. It's crazy. It's crazy. So thank you, SJ, for jumping on stream with me. Thank you guys for tuning in and sticking around for this long. I hope you guys appreciated the content. Just a little chill out session so you guys can hear how some of this stuff works. I don't know what the background noise is, guys. Just enjoy the outro music. Peace.
Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Trust
that.
us. 100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, Everybody said it. I mean, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody that told you.